Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Discussing a Murder. This is after Discussing a Murder, after episode 20. With me starting off, we have Brian and Kath with just to join the little start off panel. We're just going to be kind of chewing the fat, maybe a little bit for a few minutes. I think Jack is going to join us. I think Kel is going to join us. It might have another guest or two. But just to start out, we're introducing, just saying hello. Just want to hit the chat for a second before we talk to Brian and Kath. Just wanted to say thanks to everybody for joining. Lord Bucco, Behind the Magic, Gloria, Case 10, Maz, Jinx, Bethany, TJ, Case 10. I think I got most of you. If I didn't get your name, TJ, I think I said. And really, Casey, appreciate you guys joining us for this live after I have so much fun doing these. So I'm glad that we do it every couple weeks. I think that it's just enough to keep me excited to keep wanting to come back and do it again. Every 2 weeks. I think it's just the right amount of time that I get really excited to do this. So, yeah, send through your questions if you have any. We'll try to address them the best we can right now. And let's meet and talk to. Just say hello, Brian. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Jeff? And everyone else.
I'm pretty good. I'm feeling good these days. You know, I think you gotta do your best. You gotta feel good. Been pumping some iron, lifting some weights is always good. It makes you feel alive, and that's where I'm at. Just feeling good, enjoying the weather out here. Sorry, I don't mean to rub it in. If you're in the, we got the yellow snow. Well. I know there's another guy that has a lot of snow, and that's Jack. Jack, welcome.
Hey, thanks. I just got here and got some snow and I think you're forecasting for 4 or 5 inches tomorrow, something like that.
Nice. Well, I don't think there's any snow down by Calf. Is there?
No,
it's a hot day.
Probably not.
Welcome. Thanks for coming back again, Kath.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for everyone else tuning in. I see a lot of people interested in the motion. It seems like that must be the topic of the hour.
Absolutely.
Everyone's got questions.
I think all we have right now is questions, to be honest. I don't think we have anything concrete in any document form yet. Unless you're going to make some breaking news here.
Just no. Unfortunately, I looked around. Nobody that I knew or that I know has the document yet, and it was too late to try to call and get a copy of it. So it was after 5 o'clock.
Then, you think?
Very possibly, probably. I'm not going to say for sure, but probably tomorrow.
Most likely. And then will you and Foul Play have an impromptu live like usual?
Absolutely. Yeah. If we get our hands on a copy, we get our hands on a copy of it, we'll certainly get it. And it looked like she had, in this filing, if you read it, I think Jinx put a copy of it in the office here. Pins. Yeah. It says additional text motion to leave to file Mr. Avery's second amended notice of motion and third motion for a post-conviction relief pursuant to Wisconsin statute. Maybe I'm confused. I need to go back and reread, or we need to get Tracy or Travis or somebody to explain this. I'm not sure about the second amended notice. I know about the first one because I thought that's one that Judge Angie just approved. But I'm not sure about the second amended notice. Anyway, it's confusing to me. And there's 4 exhibits, it looks like, attached. Exhibit A, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's all we've got so far.
Yeah, I wish we had more to throw out there, and that's why I said you guys will probably hit that video as soon as it comes out, and this live well in 2 weeks we can talk about it, but people even be talking about this in 2 weeks, we'll have to see.
Hey, StreamYard's been a little weird. I want to jump out and come back.
Yeah, no
You're right.
worries. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I was saying, we don't really know anything. Maybe in 2 weeks we'll be able to discuss. It's such a shame. I wish she would have filed yesterday, and then we would have this in our hand. Maybe that would, in the future, if you want to do that, please, Miss Dillner. And that's a lot of that we feel right now. That's a lot. That's where I am. There's a lot of stalled, just what we're just waiting. And that's kind of how I feel. I apologize if I haven't kept up on the chat. I will try to keep up with the chat the best I can, guys. Thanks for keeping it professional out there, and appreciate everybody joining us. So at this point, just open it up to anybody on the panel who has something to discuss or talk about, or an issue or something that's kind of eating away at them. Anything?
No, I'm just sort of reading the chat. A lot of people are interested in Cal's blood test, like if she used distilled water or things like that. But I remember
I can't speak for Cal, but I can tell you that Cal is going to join us.
Yeah, I know. I said that she'll explain it all, but I do remember her rehydrating her blood at one stage to do a test. I do remember that, so she can explain that, how that turned out.
Yeah. I mean, because if like we saw in MAM, I don't know if it was this episode or if it might actually be the next in session, but Kathleen Zellner points out that law enforcement has some of these tools with them: distilled water, a dropper, the tools that they would need to do this, and people on the scene who have been trained in this and have this in their car. So, I mean, it is an area of interest, whether that's what happened or what didn't happen. Sometimes I get this feeling that if Ken Kratz says it, then it's probably the opposite. And so when he gaslit everyone and said, "What do you think law enforcement are walking around with syringes?" It's almost as if he, you know what I mean? Because it just sounds like, because he's saying it, it must be the opposite. That's how I feel about Ken Kratz. But I'm sure you guys know about my opinion on Ken Kratz. I've mentioned it earlier. Yeah. Well, thanks, Kath. Anybody else? Or more on that, Kath?
No, because I don't want to talk about Cal's blood experiments, because she really is the one who did them, and I'm going to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's fair enough. That's like me usually. That's how I feel, Kath. So, join me. I don't even know what to expect in this motion. I've heard people, kind of give some ideas of what it possibly could be. I really am gray and foggy in this one.
Yeah, me too. I think she's. I can't even begin to even try and explain it. What about
what she might have in the motion?
Yeah, like what she's doing at the moment, like the amending or adding or changing.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on what she's doing also, other than...
I think we won't know until we know, kind of thing,
Right.
That's
really do
I think it's just guessing, isn't it? We're just guessing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And I don't even know if that's worth the speculation all the time, unless we're, if we're a bunch of lawyers sitting around, maybe, but...
I know,
Jack,
but at the same time, you want it to be something really good too, and I just don't. I wouldn't be getting my hopes up high.
Yeah,
I just want whatever she presents to be spot on and irrefutable.
Right.
Spot on and irrefutable.
There you go.
Oh, That's like
queued up there in the.
That's like a Christmas miracle.
If we're done with talking about that,
No,
just wanted to Sunday night during the open mic. Of course, everybody knows we dove back into the depositions, the 2005 civil depositions, and this one we got about halfway through it. But this is the deposition of William Beck, and he's employed by Manitowoc Sheriff's Office, and he's like not like a records custodian, but kind of like a records keeper. He's got a pretty large umbrella of things that basically supplies the department and serves the department. He's not like a line. I mean, he'd been with the department, or had been since 1975. That's when he hired in. Then he'd got promoted up. He started out as patrol, and moved up to sergeant, and so forth and so on. Anyway, so he's got this more elevated position. Anyway, this is his deposition, and in reading it, I'd read this before, but it had been a long time, and I completely had forgot. But what they're talking about in this section, keep in mind, the goal for Glenn and Kelly is to pull any information from these people about what they knew about Gregory Allen, when they knew it, who all knew it, everything that they could potentially, because that was their goal. So anyway, they're going through and they're talking about in this section when Penny Berenstain was taken to the hospital and the activities. Number one, found out that Beck was the first one on the scene with Penny Berenstain. He made it there first. I did not know that. I thought Dvorak was there first, or the sheriff, that it was Beck. He was the first one there and the first one that spoke to her. So anyway, they go through the motions and talk about the various events that took place. And there's always been this conversation, and, we don't know exactly what happened, but as everyone knows, Kosarik got this photo array together, and I'm pretty sure it was Sandra Morris's husband, that he was also a deputy. Kosarik got him to go and get a bunch of booking photos of various people, and he brought a wad of photos to the hospital. And anyway, we know that there's a photo missing of Gregory Allen. His booking photo, at a certain point there, it was missing and replaced with another photo, because we can't find this one. I think it's an 84 photo that we were looking for, and it's not there. Back when we found out about it, all this shit, I mean, this has been years ago. We scoured everywhere that we could potentially, even as far as records requests, and never got it. So anyway, this is the section that we're talking about and where they're at in the conversation. And I think it's Kelly. Yeah, Kelly's the one doing the questioning. Anyway, I'll just read a little bit of this here, and then it's not that much, and you'll see what our surprise was in when we came to it. So I'll start at line 2. I think I'd ask you whether or not the date on the photo looked to be 1/3/85. Beck says, it's possible. I don't know. You've got better eyes than I got, but it could be an 8. It could be 80. Could be 85. Kelly, question. Okay, and there's a written statement on the back of that particular photo, right? Beck, yes. Kelly, and what's it say? Beck, keep this photo, Tom Kosarik, save. I'm telling you, that's an eye-opener. I don't know if people understand the impact, and you're saying, I don't mean anything, but it does. Why? This is a booking photo. Why would Kosarik want that saved? So anyway, that was I don't want to get. Well, yeah, I mean, it's.
Go ahead and throw out what you think it might be. I mean, is it because this photo looks like Stephen Avery?
Absolutely. The truth is that Allen should have been part of that lineup, the photo array and the actual police lineup. He should have been part of that by taking this photo out, because there is certainly just a headshot photo, there is some similarities between the two guys. Now,
I think so.
Greg, yeah, absolutely. But now, physically, Gregory Allen is several inches taller. His eyes are different color, so there are some significant differences between the two as far as physical characteristics, but their facial features. If Penny Bernstein had seen this, she very could have possibly identified Allen as the attacker. So that photo, that 1984 photo, is yanked.
The one that most closely resembled her attacker.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's a theory. That, guys, that's speculation. Well, I can't prove that.
It sounds like it to me. It's pretty 1, 2, 3, but the photo of the guy who assaulted you disappears, and then later we find out that was actually the guy who was. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, of course not, Jack. We're not accusing anyone of anything, but sometimes it's black and white at least for me.
If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
But I'm not accusing anyone.
No, absolutely not. It's pure speculation. Anyway, we were reading through this. It was a pretty big eye opener for, like I said, I know that I've read all of these many times. I've read several of these many times. I probably read Beck's one time, way back when we got them. So, anyway, thought that was an interesting little tidbit.
I mean, it is, because it adds, and this is the thing about, there's just drip here in this case, and that's just another one that adds to our speculation about how they covered up the Gregory Allen aspect to the Penny Bernstein rape, and so sexual assault. So it's like, it's evidence. It's adding evidence to make that case, like at least in the court of public opinion or whatever, at least between me and you, Jack, or between us here on the panel, like we can think what we want. But it just adds to that more and more.
Yeah, I mean, if you going through the depositions, you get this sense of, I feel certain that Glenn and Kelly knew. They pretty much knew the story. I don't think they knew everything, but I just can't imagine. Well, I guess I can't imagine Glenn and Kelly getting Kosuric on the stand, because that's what this was building to. Because a lot of these questions, for those that followed through going through these, Kosuric and Vogel are brought up many, maybe not necessarily every witness, but I think it's pretty much every witness that testified. They're both brought up.
Wait, what's the story of the Gregory Allen? Did a Gregory Allen picture end up in the Stephen Avery file?
Well, it was part of his file ended up in the Stephen Avery file, or vice versa. I can't remember, one or the other.
Oh, I remember that. Because,
it was part of his file.
Allen's picture goes missing, then part of his file ends up in the Avery file, and there's, what I mean? It's like, because they all had it out on the table together, and then they just kind of shuffled everything back to get, it's just, I don't actually know what happened, Jack, but it's so sloppy and it's unbelievable.
Oh, it's sleazy. It's just so sleazy. So, yeah, part of his file did end up in the Avery file. But remember, when Griesbach called Vogel, and that's what Griesbach revealed, he wanted to know if Avery or if Gregory Allen's file was mixed in with Avery's. He wasn't concerned about anything else, because he was afraid for his own ass. I'm sure of it. While they would protect that guy.
Exactly. They managed to set Stephen up for that and put him away for all them years, and then they've managed to do it again.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
They just did a better job.
Yeah, they did, because they knew that the DNA got him off. So this time we'll make sure that we put the DNA in there so he can't get off.
it makes me. Go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say they worked really hard. And I'm talking about not just Kratz, but Ballot and Gone. They worked really hard to defeat their own regulations and statutes. They worked, and you can see it if you read the case enough. But as I have, many people have, they worked really hard to get around their own shit. But of course, they've had help too. When you have a judge that says it's inexplicable why these 5 Wisconsin authorities went and gave Bones away against their own statute, and to say, "Oh, it's inexplicable. We just can't explain it, but it's okay. Don't worry about it."
I know, but that's the depths that they'll go to.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the RAV's not there. Like, seriously.
I wouldn't either. If they'll give Bones away, why would they give a shit about a car?
Yeah, exactly. Just make up another excuse of why it's not there, or allow some mold to get in and just ruin everything.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, I mean, what would they have us believe? It's the end of Indiana Jones when they take the lost ark and put it in a crate somewhere and in a hangar somewhere where you never be able to find it again?
Yeah. Noah's Ark takes 2 of everything. Are you trying to say there's 2 RAVs, Jeff?
Didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I said there might be 2 tarps.
Okay.
I told you I've been if you've been talking to me recently, I can't let go of it. I just keep going back to 45 minutes that they tarp the RAV off on the property.
Yeah.
And then blood appears in the RAV after that. No one saw any blood on the car before that, but after it's been tarped, they take it to the. Oh, now there's blood here. Huh.
Okay.
Damn. I don't know. That's just where my brain goes lately. I saw, the football game, and they were putting the quarterback in the medicine tent, when they take him in the little tent, then they give him a shot, cortisone or something. They don't want to show that on TV. They don't want people to see that, so they've just basically put a tarp around him. And that's what gave me, I was like, huh. And it just kind of fits. I don't know. I have no evidence to back that up other than circumstantial, other than what did you use this tarp for? It didn't protect anything.
What if there was scent on the tarp and not the inside the car itself? What if the tarp was the tool that they were using that the dogs kept hitting on? Because there was a tarp on Cuss Road as well. So tarp.
Well, that was the second tarp. When you said the second tarp, that's the one I was talking about on Cuss Road, actually. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think the RAV would have had her scent in it regardless. Are you talking about the cadaver dogs?
Yeah. Yeah. True. And the sniffer dogs as well, the scent dogs. I don't know. It was just a random theory that just come to me, but. Yeah, it did. Yes, it did.
If you're gonna believe in a blood planting scenario, then you kind of need to have an idea of when this may have. You don't know for sure, but when would the opportunity have taken place?
I know, but that's the thing as well.
This is one opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
How many people said that they looked in there and didn't see anything suspicious?
Ertl's big. There was like
Ertl's one.
Remaker said he didn't see any blood. I'm trying to think who else. Everybody who Pam said she didn't see any blood.
Jost.
Yeah, and you can't tell me that Pam didn't put her little face right up against the glass and peer in.
Yeah, but I give regular Pam, private investigator. I wouldn't. I mean, I give her the benefit of the doubt. But Ertl, I mean, come on, he should have seen blood. Especially maybe not Stevens around the ignition and all that, but I mean, there was enough of it in the back of the RAV that surely if he peeked in there, I mean, that's his job.
All these police officers carry torches too, so like they all would have probably had a torch in their back pocket. Who's not?
I'm sure.
Who's not going to shine that in? You would definitely see it, especially near the ignition. You'd see that one.
Well, I mean, I don't know, with the doors locked and everything, the way they describe it, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt as far as, but the CD case had a lot of blood in it, and they saw the CD case. I mean, again, like, Pam could see it, maybe even Joseph, I don't know. I mean, I would think 4 or, at least 3 or 4 of them would have recognized blood to be blood, but
Even Mark Hallbuck says after it's found that they haven't really seen any foul play or anything to do with their vehicle.
Right. See, and they may have just reported it that way, but I mean, Kratz said at the at a news conference that they found the blood on Saturday, but I mean, who knows though? You know what I mean? That's just kind of giving them an excuse to have actually done something right. But you
wasn't the RAV found unlocked after that? Wasn't
when it got to the crime lab? Yeah, found it unlocked
in a report and said, "Oh, the RAV was left unlocked, right, unattended and unlocked."
Yeah, once it got to the crime lab.
Well,
see, I always go back and forth with the blood because, as far as like when it could have been planted, because I mean, it's like, okay, I mean, Steven said that he maybe touched the door, so his fingerprints might be on the door when he got the money, or he gave her the money and took the magazine and whatnot. So if they find his fingerprints on the door, that's a legitimate excuse, right? I mean, you can't really be like, oh, he did it because his fingerprints are on the door. It's like, well, he said he might have.
Now when he admitted to putting his hand on the door, I think that would, yeah. But anything beyond that, anything.
Right, anything. Well, but I mean, maybe he says, well, she had car troubles and this and that, so I tried to start a car for her, and he had a jump start. I mean, he can come up with any story he wants, and whether they can, if they can't prove it, it's just his word against theirs, right? So, but he didn't say anything like that. So there's no reason why his blood should be in the car, according to the statements that Steven gave. He worked on a salvage yard. He worked with metal, he worked with cars. There's a good chance that he's going to have some cuts somewhere, whether or not they're fresh cuts, who knows? It's been a week since she's gone missing, so the cuts could have healed. So you can presume that he's probably got a cut that may have bled in the RAV if you're going to go ahead and just plant blood in the RAV to make sure that, it comes back to Stephen Avery. But I really tend to lean towards the fact that they knew about that cut on his finger before they planted that blood. And I don't know, which leads me to believe that the 4th would have been the earliest with Lincoln Remiker when they did that walkthrough in his house. Yeah. Anyway, but I think it makes more sense that they found that they got notes from O'Neill and made sure that. But who knows? I mean, they took pictures of the cut and everything, so on the 9th.
When was the first time they saw blood in the Grand Am?
Good question. He drove it to Crivets, so probably when they took it on the 6th, maybe. They didn't take it right away, right? Because it wasn't Brian and.
Yeah, Brian and
Brendan were in it when they were interviewed, weren't they? But then I think they seized it because they had to give them. They gave Brian and. I mean, fortunately, I just read Brian's interview yesterday or listened to it or whatever, and Brian got done and he had to wait for Brendan, and then they got escorted back to the house in Crivets.
Wasn't that was the 6th, wasn't it? Wasn't that November the 6th?
Yeah. Right, on the 6th.
Okay, so they would have seen the blood in it then. They probably said, whose blood's that?
I mean, that's a possibility. Well, no, because see, that's the thing. See, this is where I get really confused because I don't think they asked. Steven doesn't say anything about the sink blood on the 9th, so he kind of thinks about it and he remembers a little bit about it when he's talking to Arland. I think that's on the 11th, 12th, maybe a couple of days after he's already arrested, is when he kind of starts to remember about the bleeding in the sink and everything. And so the thing is that which is really weird is that he's got a cut on the 5th, on the 6th, talking to O'Neill. And O'Neill never asks him about the cut, never even. And then they photograph the cut on the 9th when he's arrested with Wiegert and Fassbender. And Fassbender and Wiegert are telling him that his blood's in the RAV and this and that. And yet they don't ask him about the cut on his finger either. Plus, they didn't take blood from him on the 9th, which Steven thought was weird. So there's like all these things around his finger, you know what I'm saying? But yet that finger, like how he cut it, when he cut it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they, back to Bobby. They asked Bobby what happened to it, where did he get the scratches on his back when they took photos, right? But they don't ask Steven where he got the cut when they took photos of that finger. To me, that's kind of suspicious. I mean, you've got blood in the RAV. You assume it came from the finger, and yet you don't even ask when it happened or what happened. It's not until he's talking to Al about it, Pa Avery, about like, oh yeah, no, I was up north. Remember, I was loading that tin. I mean, and that's in a phone call.
It's highly It's highly suspicious.
Yeah.
What about, was it taped up when Andy went there?
No, I don't think so, because yeah, see, going back, that's the other thing too. I mean, I don't doubt that. I mean, obviously Stephen bled in his bathroom. They found blood in his bathroom. There's no doubt that he bled in his bathroom. But that whole story on the 3rd, he's talking to Jody at 5:30. He's pissed off at Barb and the boys. He's done with them. And then he hangs up at 5:45, and he's at Menards by 7:20. So again, assuming the security camera and everything and all this is accurate. I'm sure the phone call time is accurate, but basically he's at Mom's eating dinner when he's talking to Jody at 5:30 to 5:45, and then Colburn comes at some point, and Stephen comes out of Mom's when Colburn arrives, because Colburn was going to go. He was going to go talk to Chuck. So I don't. Yeah, I don't think he'd cut his finger by then. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he'd gone back to his trailer, or yeah, back to his trailer, cut his finger, and then went back to Mom's. I just don't think there was really enough time for him to have done that. Going by the Jody call and the fact that he's already at Mom's and talking to Jody and complaining about Barb and her boys and all that, so if that makes sense. I think Colburn was probably there about 6, between 6:30. Just, I think he was off an hour. I don't know why, but. What time does Colbert say he got there? Like 6:37 or 7:30, something like that. I can't really remember, but I know it was wrong. If, assuming the Menards security footage is correct with their time, Colburn was there earlier than he said he was.
Yeah, but I thought Stephen reopened it, went in, taped it up, and then.
Yeah, before they went to Menards.
Right. Okay.
No, and that's a possibility, because I feel like Stephen probably drove his granddam up to Mom's for dinner, just like he said he did. You know what I mean? And then he drove it back home, parked it in his spot like he said he did. And then Chuck followed him down in the flatbed, and then he cut his finger and he went inside, bled all over the bathroom, whatever. Maybe taped his finger up, whatever, like he said he did. Came back out, got in the flatbed with Chuck. They start to drive off. They see the taillights. They turn around, come back. But then it's a 20-minute drive to Menards, so they would have had to see the taillight. So yeah, seen the taillights, turned around, come back, and still left the yard by 7 to make it walking into Menards at 7:20. And it's somewhere, like I say, Colburn would have had to come sometime before that. And I don't really see where Stephen left Mom's after talking to Jody, went home, cut his finger, bled in the bathroom, and then went back to Mom's, ran into Colburn, and then went to. I mean, I guess he could have, but this doesn't seem very likely. Knowing
someone has seen the finger. Someone has seen the finger taped up or the blood, and then thought that's a perfect idea, like to put it in the RAV.
Yeah, he didn't have it taped up on the 4th on the news footage either. So, but which is typical. I mean, I'm a man too. I'll cut my finger and I'll tape it up so it doesn't bleed all over. But 3 hours later, if it's not bleeding, that Band-Aid's coming off because it doesn't stay on very well, anyways.
Yeah,
is what it is. Especially if you reopened the cut, you know what I mean? It's not like he just cut it, so it probably only takes 30 minutes before it's not bleeding anymore. But
yeah, it just seems like someone's used it for their advantage. They've gone, he's had a bloody finger, so let's go and put some blood in the RAV that would look like it had come from a bloody finger. At some point, right. Someone's thought that up, haven't they?
I would think so, yeah. Like I said, I feel like law enforcement knew that he cut his finger. And like I said, I find it very suspicious that we don't hear anything about how or when or why he cut his finger until phone calls after the fact.
Yeah. If he was truly involved, then there'd be blood in the back with Teresa's.
Oh, absolutely. See, that's the blood I feel like would have been in there when Ertl and Remaker and Pam and everybody looked in the back of the RAV. I mean, that's got the biggest window on it anyways. I mean, you look in the back and like, oh, wow, is that blood? I mean, like I say, I'll give Pam the benefit of the doubt, but Ertl, I mean, come on, that's just kind of his job, to look at blood all day and determine, in tight spaces and everything else, I mean?
Yeah, but they don't say anything.
Not according to the reports, they didn't, and their testimony, because that's the thing, that they testified that they didn't see blood. Despite Kratz telling everybody like, oh, we knew about the blood on Saturday. Yeah, but that was a press conference, so it doesn't count. That's like a Casey tweet, kind of, sort of, She can take that back. It's not on the court record.
Oh, yes. Well, how you guys feeling? How's the chat going? You guys, you're wondering if I don't know. I go back and forth with the Colburn thing where he says that he didn't see Stephen's hand, taped up, but is Colburn a trustworthy deputy that we should take his word?
No.
I mean, you have to balance that out, right? Like, well, if he is in fact involved in planting blood, would he would lie about, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would lie about that. Like, I didn't see his finger bleeding. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, of course.
So it's just his word,
He's just all
and
over
he's
this
around
place.
the key. So that would put him around the blood. That would put him around the key. That would put it. You know what I mean? It's like these characters keep popping up, the same people over and over and over again.
Yes, that's right. And like I even did a Excel file on how many times he arrived with Lenk or came within a minute of Lenk arriving onto the property. Like, they're like joined to the hip for part of it. So you can't tell me that Andy doesn't know what's going on. Turning that blind eye. That's just my opinion anyway.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to tell. This is the guy who's going to court over his good and honorable name. So, but there are many out there who don't share that exact opinion of him and his honorability. Let's just put it that way. And you might put me in that category.
Right.
I don't know about you guys. Well, I think if we had the 4,000 text messages that, the 4,000 text messages between him and his lawyer and the third party, I think we would get a little bit better view.
Hey, you get those suckers any day. I'll come help you read them there, Jack. That's the deal. Don't worry about that.
I'd love for the judge to unseal those, but he still hasn't done it. And,
interesting.
Oh, that would be.
I mean, well, yeah, it would, because I think it would give us yet another whole nother glimpse into some of the backstory of what's really going on here. You got to think about the timing. He tries for he was really at the end of his rope in getting this lawsuit filed. All of a sudden, nobody would take it. All of a sudden, Griesbach retires, takes the case, and at the same time, they're in talks about convicting a murderer. The documentary. See how this thing is joined at the hip. To me, it is. That's what I said. That's my that's my opinion. Whether it is or not is a different matter. That's just an opinion. So, but the various moves and from a timing standpoint, him asked and signing exclusivity deals that he'll only talk to the producers at Convicting a Murderer and not to a regular reporter, somebody on 60 Minutes or whatever, and get his side of the story out. I think that is another piece of the pie here, because he damaged himself by doing that. He should have said, "Fuck no, I'll talk to whoever the hell I want. You don't own me." So why did he do it? Was it part of the deal? Griesbach even told him in one of the filings, it wasn't actually that long ago that we got this part of the piece of the puzzle, that he's like, you really don't need to be talking to anybody outside. You need to just talk to these people. What the hell, man? Of course, this is coming in with the third party being an editor on his books. So all this shit's joined together, man. It's a whole other story behind this other story of the fucking lawsuit. Pardon my French.
No, it's okay to let one slip here and there, Jack. Absolutely. I myself let one slip here and there, for sure. Just like the folks at home, I bet. Jack, speaking of a glimpse of the case, I think to go back to what you said, you got some photos for us to. It's photo time.
Yeah, we'll pick up where we left off. If you guys remember the last live, we were going through the Grand Chute photos. Grand Chute Police Department got called in to help photo and so forth, help on the case pretty early on, and so there were a number of photos that yours got a few years ago. That's what these are. There's not that many. We went through most of them. There's not that many left, so we can finish these out. And I think we can tell from these they're still in the quarry area. You know, you can see it. I took a guess here as actually where we were. I couldn't remember exactly where we stopped off, but I know I'm close.
Somewhere around here. Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember talking about this one. This is, but we get another one of those flags there. A little yellow flag in the center of the picture.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, W.
Yeah.
But I mean, what is it? We don't have this connection to item W, do we?
If there's a list, I don't know where it's at to make this, a report that's connected directly to the photographs. There may be, and I'm just not thinking of it.
Well, like we said before, it's just, put a little flag out there, take a picture, and then we can take lunch after this.
It would certainly be nice to have, an inventory list as to, exactly where they're at.
I couldn't find it either, but I might have another look later.
Well, what's that?
Because, they have to understand the lettering to an item number.
Tire track?
Somehow.
Is that a tire track or is it just disturbed earth?
It looks like a tire track. You can see the tread.
Yeah, there you go. There's tread. Fresh tread. Fairly fresh. I don't think you really have enough of a tread there to identify a car, though.
There were tire tracks in the last bunch, too. Did they ever compare tire tracks of any vehicles at all? I don't remember.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't remember called it anyway. That's interesting. They took a lot of pictures of tire tracks, but they didn't even try to match the vehicles.
They did take a cast. They took a little concrete plaster cast of one down near the conveyor, I think.
Yep, I think they did, Kath. But if they did comparison, it's something that is in a report that I don't remember seeing or didn't get turned over. And whoever's damn tire this is, it has to be pretty bald, right? To not leave almost, right? I mean, there's almost no tread that I can see. You can see some, but it's very little.
Racing tires.
It's not like a 4-wheel or a golf cart, is it?
Probably racing tires. Steven
And this is basically the same thing, just a repeat.
What is that little crack down the middle?
Let me go back. That's what I'm saying. It's like it was rutted or something. Like the tire was that. It was misaligned on the car and it wore badly. I don't know. I don't know.
Looks like clay that's dried out and then just cracked in the middle.
I'm not sure if that's well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
This one here, I'm almost positive. I'll have to try to find that video again. Somebody got it. They picked up this white car. I'm pretty sure it was this white car. They picked up for whatever reason. They were looking for something. And so they got the front end loader and they picked it up. I don't remember who was driving it. I don't know if they got Earl down there or who, but I'm sure they picked it up and looked under it for something.
Are they the cars blocking the exit entry?
Well, not exactly, but it's hard to say because wasn't Steven and maybe even Earl down in this area moving cars? So like the fact that things have recently been moved wouldn't really be a surprise.
I think this is more towards in the junkyard area, not that back there. That was a Pinto back in the back. I've got those photos too of that Pinto.
I thought that these two were near that as well, but I could be wrong.
I'll pull the Pinto photos up too. But I think that, And here's another one of item W, whatever the hell that is. Tower tread or whatever kind of tread. And then it's still on item W, just another angle. Here it looks like I went too far. Here's an overall. Remember, we looked at this guy in the truck back here, trying to look in the back of his truck. They found something here. They looks like they're flagging right here on the road. Maybe we'll get a better look at that here in a second. Looks like item Z, whatever the hell that is. Actually, I think we did look at these. This was towards the end of what we were looking at. That says 1.
Do we even have a photo? Like, that would be something interesting. Do we have a photo for every letter, or other letters missing that they just didn't get a picture of?
Not that I'm aware of, no. No.
So there's a bunch of letters out there that they marked but never took a picture.
Yep.
Smart. Makes a lot of sense to me, Jack and Brian.
Yeah, and you know, each department also, you know, they use their own lettering, numbering. So when something gets transferred from like the DCI to Calumet County, it has to get the Calumet County designation. I don't know what this is. It looks like, I don't know if that's, I don't know what it is. Looks like some kind of
That looks like
sod or
something. Dumping area, maybe?
Yeah, like some kind of sod that got dumped.
Like the yellow, like whiter on the left. It's a little darker in the middle.
Looks like some sod or something got dumped right there.
But it doesn't look like it's that fresh either. You know, it kind of looks like
Whether
looks like there's weeds are growing right through it. So like how relevant could it be if you have grass growing through it?
That's what do they think, that Avery had a killing field over there or something?
I don't know.
You know, this looks like the remains of another burn barrel that's gotten dumped. That's been there for like months. That's what it looks like to me.
Right. It looks like even older, right? Like, because eventually all that just kind of goes back to the earth. It gets broken down into whatever.
Breaks down. Yep.
Right.
Breaks down, washes away.
You know, the hard parts, never really break down, but most of it just becomes back to the earth. That's why nobody cares that you dump it in there, right?
It looks like they got a bucket there for collection, though.
Well, we do want to get paid today, so we better collect some things just to make sure that we're doing work.
Yeah, put some rocks in there, guys. We'll carry some rocks back to the command center.
Like, here's a big heap of photos for everyone to look at later of nothing.
So I think what we're seeing here, right? It looks like someone had a truck and turned around. Like, I think we said this last time. Well, how do you think the burn barrel got dumped? They brought their truck back there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not rocket science.
Zoom out. Look, that looks like an impression of a body's been laying there.
Does it?
Yeah, when you zoom out. Look.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
See the head and the torso.
Yep.
Very abstract. I like it.
Absolutely.
There's another angle.
Well,
there you go. Another angle.
They sure took a lot of photos of whatever the hell they thought this was. Here we go.
I mean, there's another like that. Like, if I was investigating, I'd be like, this is a good picture. But here's the thing. If you have half burnt tin, like pieces that haven't been burnt all the way, how do you explain a tin can that survives in a inferno? This crazy hot inferno of burning this body, and yet you have these other debris. Some of them are burned, but like all that rusty stuff that's been there for a long time.
Look at that can right there. It's right. Looks like another one back here and some plastic.
Right. And so like we said, what is this? This is where somebody dumps their burn barrel every 2 months or whatever, every month, whatever it takes. And they didn't find anything with this flag. I'm sorry. That's my
okay.
best
So then you
opinion.
have to ask yourself, who else dumps their old burn barrel rubbish, ash, and whatnot there as well?
Well, you got Redont, you got everybody at the literally at the deer camp. Whoever the hunters, you know, if you use the campsite, you got to empty the burn barrel once in a while. And if I don't know, that seems likely. Anybody who's friendly with Redont, who doesn't care, like, oh yeah, I let the neighbor guy. Maybe he knows someone.
Yeah,
I mean, right?
Yeah. What about just local people in the area? Would they take their burn barrel ash there?
Maybe
Seems like a
not.
lot of work, but
I doubt it. I doubt it, Cav. I mean, but you know, I think on the deer, I mean, in the quarry alone, I think there were a number of burn barrels scattered around it. You know, they get pallets and just old trash. You know, they have them a little burn barrel there, relatively handy. Shed in there and burn it.
Yeah,
right. We had a burn barrel growing up. Like I said, we had 100 acres, but we didn't take it too far because it was. I mean, eventually you're dumping it in the same pile, and the pile starts to get bigger. So it's like, all right, I'll take it 10 yards this way this time. You know,
right.
Just kind of hope the wind picks it up in the rain and the snow eventually, so you don't have to walk so far next time.
But you know, if this stuff had anything to do with the crime, they would have been taking this apart piece by piece. They would have had it on a conveyor. They would have been sifting it. They would have, and so that's how we kind of know there wasn't anything here. Otherwise, they would have got it, and they didn't because we don't have any documentation to back that up. Again, is this law enforcement performance art?
Yeah. What date were the pictures taken? Any idea?
Information. It says November 11th at 4:02 p.m.
Yeah, it's kind of like investigation.
Well, yeah, it is. I actually thought they were, well, you know, I don't know about Grand Chute. Just we don't have a lot. We really don't have much information at all as to all their stuff. We have a little, but I was really thinking they were there more towards the 9th and 10th. But
that's what I was kind of thinking too, because I mean, they're still taking photos of that kind of stuff on the 11th and the 12th, and I mean, that's got to kind of mean that some of them were either just out there killing time, just taking pictures of whatever to pretend like they're working, or they're not 100% convinced that they actually found the bones and whatnot in the areas that they already claimed to find the bones.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
I mean, why else would you keep taking pictures of burn barrel stuff or anything that looks kind of non-relevant to that point?
I mean, these people. I mean, you know, I'm guessing that the bulk of them grew up in this area, so they're well aware of, you know, the people in the rural communities use burn barrels and they dump them from time to time. And they didn't see anything, and we don't see them picking through this shit, like Jeff said. So,
right.
It looks like we have a tire track here. Another one. It looks like some kind look almost like a scoop. Somebody's taking a scoop. Well, maybe not.
Like you drag a heavy machinery, or you lay the bucket down, like a backhoe bucket, or scrape it like that. Something like that.
The shovel.
A trailer?
Smaller one.
If you have one of those trailers that tips back, and maybe it was rubbing, something like that, something heavy and dragging.
I think we were. Yeah, this is here's actually where we stopped, because these are some of the bones that they did collect. Yours has got a pretty good array of photos from this section here. These buckets here were collected, and I'm pretty sure this is where they found other bones from this area here. Remember Sipple's phone call.
I love that they're holding the shovels up for the photos.
What's that, Calf?
Is this the concrete slab that they talk about?
Oh, with item CX? That I don't know. I'm not sure if we have a photo of that in this pile of stuff or not.
Because they sort of look concretey and slabby at the same time, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it came from this area or not. I can't talk intelligently enough about this section. I know that I do know that there was concrete over there that did have blood on it, item CX.
Concretey and slabby.
I like that.
I do too.
Oh, that sums it up. Concretey and slabby.
Yep. So.
Well, they are quite keen. They've got the 4 buckets.
Yep. And remember, Sybil's call. He said Sybil said he had 2 5-gallon buckets full of bones. Needed more help. Blah blah blah. So.
Wow.
I'm just one of these that I just don't trust what they. I just think there's a lot of misreporting. I think we don't know what all they found. I think we know, obviously we know part of it because it's recorded, but some of the specifics I think we're missing. And another problem for them is that if this is not Teresa, they got another problem. They got a huge problem.
Mm-hmm. That's like what we were saying last time, Jack. This wasn't Manitowoc's decision to go combing through the quarry. This was DCI. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because DCI was like, well, it's worth it. I mean, we can go and comb this through. We have the manpower to do it. We'll comb through, see what we find. That wasn't under the purview of MTSO or Calumet. That wasn't really their desired plan to go through the quarry and collect bones, because then Mount Ken Kratz has to explain bones in the quarry, right? We don't want that, right? So I think that's an important dynamic to remember when we're looking in the quarry, that this wasn't really on the radar of Kratz's plan and, the scenario that they wanted to unfold. It's just something that ended up happening through DCI. That's how I read it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. They didn't want her to have left the property, and they wanted the bones to be in Stephen's pit, where, and this is your crime scene.
Right, which they didn't take pictures of that, but
no. No, but they wrote a lot of reports to try to make everyone believe that they had all this shit in his fire pit. Well, okay, fine. Or the photos, prove it. That's all you got to do. Have 1 or 2 photos showing what you allegedly found, and we've never seen them because they don't exist.
Right.
Exactly. We've got a photo of a dude on a bobcat with a big smile on his face, taking a selfie.
Yeah, bunch of dog poop photos. It's just so that's important to take a photo of. But these bones in these alleged bones in his burn pit, this guy we're going to lock up for the rest of his life. We're not going to take any photos of that, guys. Nope.
And all these in situ post pictures that we should be taking, we're not taking a picture of that. But the pile of crap, we'll get that.
Yeah. And this item,
fed.
That's right. Collect his poop. Let's take a bunch of photos out here in this quarry that are just clearly nothing. They're not relevant at all. But let's take a bunch of different angle photos of that. I don't know. Maybe it's just,
somehow. You got to.
Well,
somehow. Here's my material. I did. And I think that's something that they can hide behind. To be honest, it's like, well, we combed through the quarry, and then I saw this bone. I'm pretty sure it's a chicken bone, but we don't know. So we better act like it could be a human bone. Then spend 2 hours collecting that. You know what I mean? And just milk the clock up, right?
And let's take 14 different angle photos of this nothing bone here, or pile of crap, or whatever. So anyway, this is
and talk about your plans for the weekend.
There you go. You guys going to the game? I'm bringing the beer. So, but this is the last photo of the quarry. We're going to move into a few other photos of. I don't know whose car this is. This is, one on the car.
I get a bland feeling from that. It's Earl's? It is Earl's.
There you go.
I sent it to him and asked him whose it was, and he said it was his.
There you go. Now I learned something new. Thank you, Kath.
No worries. And then they searched that, didn't they? And they found guns and camo. What else? Waders. Well, there we go. There's a couple of guns for you.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big scope on there.
That's
hey, Earl.
That's a huge scope.
1 mile away with that thing.
That's a monster scope. You can see Saturn with that damn thing.
What are you shooting with that, Earl? Rabbits? You can knock the asshole out of a rabbit with that thing.
Wabbit.
Excuse me.
Then some wabbit hunting.
That's so he can get the rabbit between the eyes. That's how good that scope is.
And there's a couple knives. There's a drop of blood. No, maybe not. That's red.
What's the camo for? I've never heard of Earl ever hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from rabbits.
Well, him and Steven were scoping his gun.
Him and Fabian talked about, wabbit hunting.
Yeah.
Or was it duck season?
Well, there we go. You know what we could do, because they're numbered. If we could find a file with number 5 and 6 on, we know that's the camo gear in the back, I think. Yeah. And then we can maybe find from there
an inventory list.
Yeah, some sorts. Yeah, there's got to be one.
All right, this is the end of the grand shoot photos. Now I have others that I'm going to stop this pile of photos. I'm going to close it out and I'm going to open up some new ones. And the ones I'm going to bring up next are from Wisconsin State Patrol officers Reese and Judge, I think is his name. And as I talked about last time, where the hell are these at? Oh yeah, these are. There's like I think 12 or so, maybe something like that. 12 or so in each roll. There's 20 rolls. We'll go through some of them. They're not necessarily relevant, but they could be photos that people hadn't seen before. And might just want to take a quick peek at them. Nothing
I like it.
Too in depth. Let's see here. Reese, I think this is what I want.
I love looking at these pictures. It's really enjoyable for me.
Yep, there's 20 rolls.
Whoa, that's a tall task. I don't know if we'll hit all that right now.
Well, like I said, but some of these photos we've seen before. They're pretty common. Some of them are not, that are really not common at all. And many probably have never seen them. Let me go back here. Share screen.
I love the pictures too.
I mean, I've maybe seen some of these, but I've not. There's no way I've ever seen all of these that you share. So, probably one of the best times for us to take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, these, like I said, these are just they're almost just like they were walking around, because remember the state troopers the reconstruction unit was called in by. I don't really know who called them. I don't know if Kratz did it or or Fallon or one of the other. But they were called in by one of the prosecutors. It's strange that they would call this reconstruction unit in, because they typically, if you look at the Wisconsin State Trooper, they have their own section. Well, at least they used to. I can't. Maybe recently they don't, but used to. They had their own little section, because they normally go to crash sites where there's been a bad car wreck, and they reconstruct as to how it happened for safety. I think a lot of states have their own kind of like reconstruction unit, but they have several officers that work for them. And I will say, while getting records from them, probably of all the different departments, getting records from them was probably about the easiest, because I had a question about some of the photos that these different state troopers had taken. This was probably 2020, and I started really digging around, maybe 2019. And I sent an email. I got an email for the records custodian for the this unit. Actually, it's actually for the state troopers. And I just basically asked a question. She didn't really understand what I wanted. And she sent me through email. Now, you can only send like 15 gigs at a time or whatever, or maybe 10, not 15 gigs, I'm sorry, like 10 or 15 megs at a time. So there's like 600 and 700 photos. I can't tell you how many emails she sent me. She sent me every photo through email. Didn't complain, didn't ask for anything. And that's really not what I wanted, because Seeking Truth had already gotten all those photos. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let her do it. I'm not going to stop her, but once she got started, I just kept getting emails, and I've still got them. It's crazy. Anyway, so this is Officer Reese took part of these, or I'm not officer, but State Trooper Reese and State Trooper Judge just walking around the property, taking these various photos of different things. We're on this roll 20 or roll 1 of 20. This is around Avery's trailer. So, one of the van. Let's look at a date here before I get too far into this. I know. So this says, this didn't come out right. I know that's not right. That says April 2020. So, yeah.
How dare you present photos without the proper metadata, Jack? I mean, the nerve of you.
Yeah, I think this is probably... I can't remember if I got this from Seeking or if this is part of the batch that they sent me. I just don't remember, but I know it was around this time frame. So this may be photos that I got. I just don't know. But nonetheless, this is State Trooper Reese photos. And I still think it was probably somewhere around, as Brian said, the 9th, 10th, 11th time frame, right? But they got called in on the 5th. So don't be fooled by any other metadata you see. They were there on the 5th. And they were there for the entire time that the Avery salvage yard was under seizure. So,
here's a question. How did the man not end up to be part of the narrative? Because they could have said at any time, they tossed her in the back and took her car, and and they didn't incorporate it at all, which I almost feel like it kind of points to the fact that
they didn't even take it, did they?
No, as far as I know, they didn't seize this van.
No, that's interesting.
I'm into a debate with a longtime Redditor, been around almost as long as I have, since back in 2016. And they pretty much turned full guilter. They straddled the fence for a long time. They actually even tried to act like they were a truther for a while. But this person knows the case as well as anyone. And they put up this post. There's a Reddit to inflate their argument about Avery's guilt. They had this photo. It was like a overall of the salvage yard, showing all the cars. And it had an insert, and one of the inserts was of the van, and it had an insert that said, remember the notepad that was written on it, where Stephen had written back at patio door, or something of that nature, and had Teresa's run number? They said that notepad was inside the van, found on the dash.
Really?
That's what he said. It's not true. It's a lie.
No, it's on his
They
desk.
found that. It's on his desk.
Yeah.
This is the kind of... Anyway, sorry for the side story there, but it really irritated the hell out of me. I try not to reply to too many of those Reddit posts, but some of them I just have to.
Right.
Anyway, moving forward.
That's a new one. I didn't know there was any
this one right here,
first where that was found.
Oh, that argument? Yeah, it's like, why are you doing that, man?
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
What up,
Is that Kel?
Hey, Kel, I saw you lurking. I didn't know if you could get a connection. Nice to have you.
Hey, Cal.
Hey, Cal. What is
People are asking lots of questions about blood.
what is this right here?
Funny enough, I'm just about to go get my blood done, and they're actually going for my coagulation study. So
Sweet.
That's going to be cool. I want to ask them a few things while I'm there.
We'll also need to send in a records request for your stuff. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no.
I don't remember ever seeing that hammock before.
Yes,
Neither do I.
I thought I'd seen
Wow.
all these, like every
I've
angle
never.
of Steven's truck, the van, the trailer.
I know I've looked at this.
Property.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. I've seen his pool. I don't remember ever seeing the hammock.
I wish I had his pool. His, better than new pool.
Oh, it's badass.
Yeah, this is the Dassey yard because you can see the little posties up here. That's the Dassey yard. I don't know. I just don't remember that.
Maybe that was for their night watchman. Take a nap. Put that up after the fact.
And of course, we can see all the.
There's a boat there. Oh, now we got squads.
All the cop cars are. Yeah, all in front of the Dassey house.
Interesting.
Yep.
Quite muddy, isn't it? Tracks wet, muddy.
Oh yeah.
Well, when were these pictures taken? There was a great deal of rain, in that week. After
It was around. This was around the 10th of November. It had to be. But it could have been anywhere from the 5th to the 12th. I'm going to have to. I don't know. I don't think it will let me. Hold on. I don't know. It may let me open up another roll here. Maybe. I doubt it, but I'm going to try. It probably won't though.
I like to experiment. See what we can get. May streamline it for the future. I'm still finding out new buttons every day on this here internet machine.
No, it's not going to do it. Son of, yeah, it's not going to let me. All right, let me stop and I'll restart. Sorry. But I can't really throw these all in one folder either because they all started image 1.
So what is looking through photos at this stage?
Say what?
That's what we've been doing. We've been checking out some photos. We kind of finished off the quarry, and now Jack's got some other photos, and we're waiting to find out actually what they are.
You know what? These folders are dated. That first roll is dated November 6th. Actually, the next several, roll 1, 2, and 3 are on November 6th. So that's when these are. All right, let me pull this one up here and we'll get this one going.
Not the quarry ones with the buckets. That wasn't the 6th.
No. These rolls we're looking at now.
Okay, whose car is it? Whose car is it? Let's guess. I'm gonna say Blaine. That was my guess last time, but
no, that's not.
I think it's Brian's.
That's Brian's, isn't it?
That's Brian's, yeah.
Brian or Bobby's little race car or something, but I think it's Brian's.
A lot of people don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was Sean Taddick that bought Blaine a car. He bought him a car. Scott's brother.
That's weird.
What kind of car is that anyway?
Looks like a little Mazda or a Nissan.
I'm gonna say Mazda, maybe Nissan.
Looks like a
Maybe
little Chevy Cavalier
on the front. Mitsubishi.
Oh, that could be.
No, he took the
emblem off. Yeah.
You'd have to ask somebody who really knows cars.
Oh, this has been customized. It looks like some ground fairing and I don't know.
Well, you ain't leaving with the cops parking them in like that.
No.
So this is where those extra tires were behind the shed that Steven was talking about. What is this? That's what those orange things are, don't you, Jack?
I do not.
Snow fence. This is what that is. The snow fence.
Oh, okay.
That way it creates a drift there,
and
not a drift at your house.
Yep, that's right.
Casey said it was a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
There you go. Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi. I can't even say it. Mitsubishi.
I have to mute for just 1 second, guys. I'll be right back.
I'll pronounce Mitsubishi while you're gone. No, here's an old Lincoln. And what else we got? I don't know whose truck that is. I kind of want to say it's Steven's, but I thought he had a different colored truck.
I wish we had some photos. I wish we had some photos of the neighbors' houses, like just to get a feel of how close they were.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see there's not a lot of that in the background because the neighbors really aren't that close.
Yeah, I remember Ma on a call once, and she was saying, "Oh, they had that bonfire going again or something," and she was talking about the neighbors. So I don't know.
Isn't there another phone call where she's also saying the neighbors are using some like underground like tunnel to get onto their property as well?
Yeah, that does ring a bell.
Tunnel, but like the call rings a bell, a tunnel doesn't ring a bell.
You've been watching Oak Island or something, Kel?
Right.
There's tunnels under there. That's where we're going wrong.
Shawshank Redemption.
Breaking in.
I swear Ma Avery says something about they're using a different access to get in and they need to block it off, but it appears like it's like underneath something versus just driving in.
Yeah, I don't know.
That, like I said, the call sounds familiar, but I don't know about the underground part. I thought she was just talking about something.
Is it in the same call as when she's talking about the fire, the neighbours having a big fire?
It might actually be. I'm honestly not sure.
That would have to be. She'd have to be able to
I've been
see that
listening
from
to a lot
one
of
the
them lately. And they're all kind of meshing into one at this stage because I'm like going through all the calls and they're all becoming, I need to write them down as I do it because I'm losing myself in them all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never really thought about it and probably looked at this photo 100 times or whatever, but the Dassies also had a propane tank just like Steve did. I probably knew it and just didn't think about it, but there it is. Anyway, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, under that, we would assume that the other houses had one too. If they didn't have natural gas lines out there, then the other houses probably didn't either. So they were getting their LP, brought in by a. Now I don't know about you, but is that a patio door that doesn't have a? No, just a window.
Oh, this up back here.
It's just a window.
Yes, it looks like a pretty good size slot open window. Yeah. Yeah, my folks actually, they lived out and they couldn't get natural gas, so they Dad had a I don't know, 10 or 15,000 whatever. It's a big tank is all I know. Put in for their heating. And of course for the gas stove, gas dryer, gas hot water heater and all that. So, and of course we've seen these photos quite often, getting to the burn pit.
Is that a hammer? What is that out center of the photo?
It is a hammer.
Well, you can tell I worked with tools before. You know what the number one rule of working with tools is, right? Don't leave your tools out.
Oh, absolutely.
There's another one. What are these guys doing? I mean, I know members of my family, extended family, that might have a hard coronary seeing this tools laying in the grass. What are you doing?
Well, I think this goes to show you these were taken on the 6th, and I'm gonna go back one. I don't see no ash piles or bone piles. was reported. Sorry, I don't.
I mean, what is that? I mean, we do know that he had burnt brush within a week or so, right? So there should be some sticks and brush and but I mean, that's like nothing. It's just so small. There's no. What about the bottom left of this?
Well, they had to remove bear though. I thought. When I got to find that call again. When
I mean, that's calls. A leaf. I mean, that's a leaf, isn't it?
Yeah.
You telling me there was a giant fire there, and now you have leaves just laying
and sticks. There's some sticks here at the bottom.
Unburnt material, but we have that flaming inferno that was over the garage and enough to burn up a body. What's this marking here? This like, do you see what I'm saying? This little trail, dark trail. Yes. What would make that? Just from maybe having the burn barrel in different locations and it just burns out the grass, or
I don't know, or something got drugged there.
Yeah, something got drugged, but it was like heavy, very heavy, and
you can already tell by this date they've taken wire out of that pit. Yeah. If these are actually properly dated, like the folder says November 6th, how can this be? If they didn't really look at anything in this burn pit until the 8th.
Yeah, that's not one of Bobby's tires, is it?
I wouldn't think so.
See, there's bears. See, these can't be from the 6th because Carla calls and asks about feeding the dogs. And I swear it's on the 7th. I should find that call again. But it could be on the 6th.
Well,
though.
See, there's no crime. There's no crime scene tape up.
Right.
You can see the neighbors from there. Look at the back over the squad car. Like that's a neighbor's barn. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah. Oh.
Crap. Went too far.
Calf was wondering about like how close the neighbors were, and like there's the neighbor's property because those are some barns that are on the that are not Avery's.
Is that big tank?
I think it is. I think that's the big propane, Well, that's convenient for them. They didn't have to go far, They fill it up there and they fill it to Avery's. It's right down the street.
It's right there, yeah. And the Dassies. But, again, I'm questioning the date on that folder. But if this is the 6th.
Like I said, there's a call from Carla Chase. She calls because she wants to know about feeding the dogs, and it's kind of late. Like it's not on the 5th. It's definitely on the 6th or the 7th. I need to find it again because they didn't even know the dogs existed. She's like, well, yeah, there's like one chained up outside, and then Barb's got two, and she's like, they get an officer on the phone and everything. She's trying to explain to the officers where the dogs are, and that's
remember these were taken by the state troopers, not Calumet or Manitowoc.
Well, right. No, I understand. I feel like the troopers would have informed somebody where the dogs were, though. Like, hey, there's a dog back here, just so y'all know.
Well, you would think, yeah. I don't disagree. But there's no crime scene tape up, so this had to be early on. Had to be. Because later pictures have crime scene tape up around.
Right. And maybe they are the 6th. Maybe they just didn't talk about the dogs. She didn't call it. She called Manitowoc or Calumet. So I think it was Calumet. I'll have to find that call again because it's a pretty interesting call. Like, what do you mean they don't know about the dogs? Because then you read it through the whole thing about how they were scared of the vicious dog and blah 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 blah. And it's like, oh, you didn't even know the dog was there. No wonder you guys didn't remove the dog.
And here's a berm type area, up above, and then you get all the cars down in, I guess, what you would call the pit. I guess that's what you would call it. I can't talk logically enough of like the family would talk, but I think this is how they would, because it comes down off this section here. So still thousands of cars.
Some pretty cool vans, I'm not gonna lie, a little retro.
Sure. Some of those people that, fix these kind of stuff up, Sure, absolutely.
They just don't make cars like that anymore. They just you can't find anything like the A-Team van or nothing.
You part these old cars out, man, and you can make some money.
They're boat.
But yep, that's right.
What's up with the straps running through it? Is that to prevent them from, moving? They just want to, this is evidence or what? Like, they can't use.
I don't know.
Run a strap through them. I noticed that on the other one too. One of the other cars, they just like ran, or maybe it's plastic. Yeah, maybe it's just a little.
It's like we want to take a closer look at these or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, zoom in. Zoom in.
Yeah, zoom in on the tires.
All the pictures.
I like that. Yes, zoom in. Which one? All of them.
All of them.
I don't know exactly where this area is at. Clearly, you can see the quarry in the back here, or part of the quarry.
It's got to be like the boundary of Avery Salvage, like this. These aren't Stevens. These look like Avery Salvage Yard tires,
Yeah, but I mean, Avery and Dassey's property really kind of border the back of the quarry there, or the back of their property does. So I don't know, somewhere back there, obviously.
There they are. There they are. Your mouse is sitting on them. Go to the right of that van, right there.
There they are. Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that.
Mystery solved.
Solved. Too easy.
Then another angle. So propane tank, burn pit, burn area, whatever.
Yeah, not a bright idea.
All right, that's the end of roll 2.
Not a bright idea, or a very, very bright idea.
And roll 3, yep, says dated 11/6/05, 11:30 a.m. Yonder property.
They're saying yonder property, are they?
What this one's labeled as yonder. They're all labeled. I just hadn't read the label off. This one's labeled yonder property.
Well, I think my grandparents had a car like that.
Sure.
What is it?
Pontiac.
That's a Chevrolet Caprice, I think.
Yeah, Caprice Classic.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a Pontiac that looked similar to that.
And my dad had a 98 Olds big boat.
A Ford Fiero? It's not Ford. It's a Fiero, though, right?
Pontiac Fiero.
Pontiac Fiero.
Whose car's that?
Is that the one that got? Is that Brian's car? Is that what Sean bought him a Fiero? Seemed like it may be. I don't remember though. And then I guess that's their dog. I don't know what their dog. This is the Dassey property, so it's the Dassey's dog.
But not one of the puppies.
No, that's clearly not a puppy. I don't remember hearing them talk about this dog, really. If I'm honest. And another line of cars, couple lines of cars here.
Is this after they destroyed all the trunks? It looks like that trunk was ripped open. Doesn't look like it was.
Supposed to be the 6th if the date on the folder is correct. I'm going to double check all these. Or a bunch of red.
Gotta be, it's interesting if you look at the top of this car, there's a tackle box or a box someone would use for like a forensic.
Oh, that is. Oh, that's definitely some kind of tackle top box.
Nobody's fishing out there, are they?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so. So what else are you using that tackle box for?
Another photo of the dog. I don't know, that'd be a Barb question there. I just don't ever remember hearing them talk about this dog. It's kind of strange, they talk about Bear all the time. Bobby talks about his puppy.
Yeah.
Well, that trunk there's got all kinds of shit in it. Jesus Christ, that thing's packed full.
If I'm law enforcement and I open an abandoned car and I see a bunch of garbage bags, I don't care who you are. It's, why do all these cars? Well, that still has plates on it. So that doesn't look like it's a car that's meant for the heap.
Agreed. Typically not. Typically those are taken off and, they're, I mean, it could be, a lot of times, I guess if it's expired by many years, it don't matter. But I don't know, if I was them, I'd definitely would want to take the plates off of them and get rid of them. Just look at all these cars and I think about Pam's statement. I'd have stayed there all day if I had to.
Come back tomorrow if we have to.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Walk that many cars, even as a younger person. I mean, that's just a daunting task. Old motorcycle there, pile of wood. Like I said, a lot of these are just area photos. Look at that tractor tire. That's a big son of a bitch. God almighty.
I wouldn't mind having that dirt bike.
Yeah, really.
It's fun. Can you stop right here and zoom in? Because if you look straight across, if I'm not mistaken, this is where the deer camp should be.
Right there, maybe?
Yes, definitely.
Right there? I think that's it.
I think it is.
It's too grainy. I can go in a little bit more, but it's really it's going to grain out bad. Definitely. I think that is the deer.
I mean, that's a straight line, right? It doesn't happen in nature.
That's it. That's the deer camp. So what's this? Right. Whereabouts are we on Stevens?
This is the back of the Dassey property. This is the back of the Dassey property.
Oh, the Dassey property, right? I got you.
But look at how close that actually is.
Because that's the burn barrel that he's seen burning.
Could be.
He drew a map, and it was at the back of the
right. So if we see these photos and we go straight across from the Dasseys is the deer camp. So why wouldn't he be seeing the Dassey burn barrel in place of the
Yeah, because they had a burn barrel right there in the back. Actually, didn't they have two back there? I think there was two behind the Dassey property because they had 3 or 4 total.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, Cap. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, welcome, Mystic Jinx. Thanks.
Hey, Jinxie.
She's in chat.
Oh, I thought she was on the live.
Maybe she will. Come on, Jinx.
Yeah. Come on, girl. Hey, come on, girl.
Garbage.
Yep. This is the Dassey burn area.
Well, Calf's rule. Zoom in. What do we got?
Like a bunch of junk boxes.
Why didn't he burn this stuff when he's trying to get this fire roaring as hot as he can?
That's a good question.
You know what I'm saying?
I've seen tons of stuff I would have probably thrown in that pile years ago, but
that's a good point. I like the way you think.
I'm with you, Zig. And then this looks like another burn area because it didn't have all that crap that we just looked at. So I'm not exactly sure in relation to where maybe we'll get another photo. You can see the correlation between the other burn area and this one. Right? Because it's not the same one. It's like they had 2 burn spots in the back of in the backyard.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Doghouse. Huh.
Without a roof.
That's not Barb's.
What trailer house is this?
That's got to be to the left. That's got to be to the left of Barb's. Got to be.
That's not the one with the roof off it, is it? Steven keeps complaining about.
Looks like a section there might be ripped, but I can't hardly tell because the photograph's not good enough.
I don't think that's the right one. Could be, but I don't think so.
Maybe we'll get a better orientation.
What's going on?
Well,
They've just parked a dog out in the field randomly on the property.
I'm just wondering if this is the same little dog house as we saw before, just a different angle of the Dassy dog, which we don't know the name of.
Oh,
there's an old. I know.
I have a feeling we are about to find out. Here, hold on.
There's a lot of dogs on there. They'd be barking if anyone came at night.
I would think.
Yeah, there's enough of them.
Those got to be the ones Carlo's calling about. I got to find that dispatch call again. See when she called.
Okay, there's the big burn spot that we looked at first.
Is it an evidence tent over there?
We're at. It's some kind of tent. Sure is.
I don't think that's Barb's.
Nope. Nope.
Looks
I
like
think.
Yeah. Setting up shop for something.
Little command center there to look at stuff.
Getting ready to do something. Not sure yet what we're gonna do, but we're gonna do something. Okay, there's a deer. Deer target.
Is that a fake deer?
Yeah, I think it's a fake deer target.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like a bunch of bicycles just kind of thrown down in the yard.
That's where they stopped riding them.
And this is where they went in. If you remember the video, this is where they went in at, I think. At least in one of the videos. Looks like probably the back door to something. Maybe the garage. And a golf cart. Did Bart have a golf cart? Get me.
Same one? That doesn't look. That's not Mom's.
No, this is a different.
Barb had one.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah, I am too, because that's when they drove around all the time. Mom
why did they impound? Why did they impound Mom's then?
I don't know.
Well, they allegedly found those. Allegedly found those pubic hairs on Ma's on the seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as I said last time, Jack, if you were gonna find pubic hairs, where do you think you'd probably find them?
That's right. That's the best place to find them, right?
That's where you're gonna find them, most likely.
Yep. All right. That's
on the golf cart seat. Like who's cruising around driving that naked?
Yeah.
Well, when you're old, things start to get loose, and
all right.
That's the end of that roll.
Thank God.
Nice.
I don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Move on, Jeff.
Okay, that was the
roll number 4. Is that right?
We're going to roll 4. It is labeled 11/7/05, 8:30 a.m. Office outbuildings, salvage yard. That's what it's labeled. And yonder property. Roll 4. Okay.
What are these pictures? Are these something that you just got? These are old?
No. These are Reese and Judge, State Trooper Reese and State Trooper Judge photos.
Okay.
That are not really seen very often. A lot of people probably have never seen them at all. So we're just
troopers.
Okay. Yeah, we're taking a little walk down memory lane.
Gotcha.
We cruised through photos. Like we started in the quarry, just looking at every little thing that we could find and just kind of diagnosing it, whether it's something or nothing, or what do they even think they might be looking at, that kind of stuff, And we just really, I'm enjoying it. Everybody else seems to be enjoying it. Just cruising through, these roles of, and it gives us a clearer understanding of the layout of the land and brings it to life a little bit more.
Most of them are completely irrelevant. There are some that are interesting, but I think most of them are pretty irrelevant. Like I said, it just gives us a better overall general idea of the property.
I do remember that as well, Bethany, that Colburn was some crime scene photo guy, but he only ended up taking like 5 photos or something.
I have some
photos. He took a few rolls.
He did.
Jinx has got a couple rolls.
I got the rolls from the 5th, and of course they didn't produce some of them because they say that they're, naughty in nature, I guess.
Of Colburn being naughty, or
what?
I said of the evidence being naughty, or Colburn being naughty.
The evidence.
The evidence is somewhat naughty. I think one of those pictures was like a nude picture of Jody or something like that, so they didn't release some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steven mentions that a few times in some phone calls. Well, just that one. It's on the fridge. Or something. I can't remember.
There was one of him as well.
Yeah.
Again, think of
you view, right, Jack, of what you're dealing with when you're going to go and walk
these
tracks.
Yeah. That's why I say, you scan through these photos and you think about her bold statement. She's no young spring chicken no more. I would stayed here and looked at all these cars, and I'd have come back tomorrow. Well, bullshit. You'd be dead. They'd be calling an ambulance for you. Because, it's not just a big flat property. You're up and down hills. You got berms to go up and all that shit, man.
Yeah. No, it's...
And here's an even better one that gives you a better, visual. You go all the way back as far as I can zoom with it. It pixeling out too bad. You got cars all the way back in there.
Wow, but what was the difference with the Rab, you guys? It was up on a theater. It was presented to you up on a hill with all this stuff over it. So she could pick it out of all of those cars.
Amazing. Amazing luck.
Yep. Now, it was all God.
The beam of light. Must have been an Indiana Jones moment where he put the stick in that hole and the sun comes shining through. So back of, I don't know which, one of the garages there, this is just, again, a lot of these are just area shots. And a lot of the state troopers, they were there, but they were there to do the reconstruction, to feed a lot of this material into the total control system to create their models with. Which again, Jinx, do you remember who it was that called them in? Was it Kress that called them in, or was it Fallon? I just don't recall.
The state troopers?
Yeah, it was one of the prosecutors that called them in. I'm sure of it.
Oh, I don't think it would be Fallon, because Fallon, I don't think, was on the case that early on.
No, he was. You're right. He wasn't Fallon.
I would think it would probably be Kratz then.
Yeah. Well, they were there on the. They got called on the 5th. I think they were there on the afternoon of the 5th. That's for. Yeah, I'll have to look.
And maybe it wasn't even. Maybe it was Rohr or Griesbach.
Who's that?
When did they actually recuse themselves?
Who's Jinx? Do you know whose trailer this is? Because you can see this trailer.
This looks like the trailer that Steven talks about that was like on the property and had his stuff in it. Like if you look, where the station wagon was, it's kind of like on that road. You'll see that big blue. It's like this is there. I think that's what this is. This is that trailer, and Steven talks about it now being destroyed. I don't know if you've. Some of his newer comments through his supporters. That's what this is.
Pretty destroyed.
And obviously it was pretty destroyed. And there was some, I think Carla or someone said something about, they made them remove it because it's like a house.
Yeah.
You can't just have a house sitting there. It's falling apart.
Right.
Oh,
so you see it's kind of like on that area where see this fence? This is the fence. Yeah. I think this is all in that area of
where the station wagon is.
Where the station wagon is. Yep.
It doesn't seem like that. Why wouldn't they search that? Why didn't they go in there? Why don't we see pictures of that if they're so thorough?
Remember the car I told you Remember the car I told you they picked up? 99% sure this is the one right here because it's got the tape on it.
Looks like a Grand Am or Grand Prix or Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Or Mercury Sable. I don't know. You could be right.
It's only a few choices, though. There's really only a few.
I still don't remember seeing that. I don't remember seeing that hammock. I'm sure it was there, but
there's
Jinx,
a
have you ever seen that
picture
hammock?
from behind the by the pit area, and they're looking that way, and you can see that hammock in the picture of like they're looking at the pit towards that way.
Well, somebody's seen it.
I've seen that hammock before.
I mean,
I've never seen it either.
You want me to pull up a picture?
I swear I looked at all of these.
Where it is?
so is that whose car is that now?
which one's this one, Kath?
Is that Blaine's? I'm running out of B names here. It's
That
not
one's got
Brendan.
crime team tape on
That's a
it, too.
fancy car for Blaine.
Yeah, Calf. I don't recall this one.
You sure those just aren't junked cars or towed cars that are in the lot?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
They're in the lot area. It's not like
Looks
it's
like a
parked.
teenager dream mobile.
I haven't seen that one
Yeah.
before. Sorry, I'm
I
brushing
don't
my
know.
teeth.
Oh, great. Yeah. Go ahead.
Is that a Talon? That other one might
That's
have been
what
a Talon too.
That's what I was thinking. This is a Talon. That's what it looked like.
Let's say Talon. Alan.
They did, oh, hang on a minute.
Didn't
Let
somebody
me
have
look on
two
my
of them?
table.
Yeah.
Had one that ran. I think it was Brian, but it might have been Bobby. I prefer it was Brian though. Had like two Talons, one that ran and one didn't.
Wow.
I'm just trying to remember. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, you know what? I think Bobby did have a Talon
That didn't run.
that didn't run.
And the Blazer and some other car too. There was like 3 of them listed to Bobby, if I remember right.
And I'm trying to remember what kind of car that Sean Taddick bought for Blaine.
I'd
I
like
don't
to
know
know the
about
answer to
that.
that too.
When did he
yeah.
buy him a car? Sean Taddick
You know-
hadn't been around until after this, don't you think? Because she had just started dating him around this time.
I remember it was sometime. It had to be sometime after. I think it was after. I don't know exactly the date. I just remember, and I'm pretty sure it's in one of Brendan's jail phone calls about.
That
Go ahead.
sounds right. Barb's telling him that I probably
Well-
didn't catch the name, but yeah, no.
Blaine was being a smart ass or something, and Scott grounded him from the car or something. There was an argument.
Interesting.
Okay, so I think this might be Brian's.
You could be right.
And the purple one with the lot of graffiti sort of designs on it. If I remember rightly, Earl told me once that they had a vehicle that they sponsored out to race.
Oh,
Well,
So
there's
that could
the tag,
be
so-
the other fancy one.
Let's look it up real quick.
Yes,
What's that? What's that?
perfect.
242 JFV.
242 John Frank, Virginia. I almost said the other word, but I changed it. And this Pontiac Fiero, I'm just trying to remember what kind of car it was that Blaine had. And I swear it was a Fiero, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
Okay.
I've seen Blaine in front of a picture, but the car just looked quite just plain and average.
All right, that's the end of this roll. I think we're moving on to,
Oh, it doesn't say
Yep.
who it belongs to.
yeah, we're going to move on to roll 5.
5 of 20.
Yep. Roll 5 says it's dated November 7th, 2005, 8:30 a.m., salvage yard and outbuildings. That's just going to be, more of the overall kind of thing.
Cool.
All right, here we go. There you go.
Oh, there's that trailer again.
Yep. And looks like we got a cop over here looking at it.
Yeah, he had to get a good, got to make sure that we can hand something in. That we
Yeah,
did
there you
work.
go. Here's across the field. Looks like that's the big tank right there, right?
Propane or LP or natural gas tank. I think maybe natural gas.
Well,
It's
probably
massive.
propane. Probably
Massive.
probably
But there's two of them. Propane.
Look how big it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're huge. They're huge. They're huge tanks.
It's massive.
What is that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to function my eyes in.
Is that quarry? Is that the quarry over on the other side of that area?
There's another quarry on that other side, right?
Oh yeah, on the right hand side, yeah. And is that Jambo Creek there in the distance, Jambo Creek Road. So that's Avery Road.
That first one would be Avery Road with the LP tank, but
yeah,
beyond that would be.
So how long was that mountain of dirt there on that road?
Isn't that where they found the tibia?
That area?
Yeah, in that quarry.
Or they found a shoe, a foot or something over in that area?
A foot? Oh, I don't know. A tibia with the flesh on it, I thought.
No, the tibia didn't come from the quarry. Come on, you can't say that. That would say that Teresa isn't. That came from.
That's how I remember it.
I think there was supposedly a foot bone or something over there by a shoe, and there was a shoe.
That's a good pick. A lot to see on this pick.
Is that the same trailer?
Yes, that's the trailer. That's the back of it.
Holy shit! The whole back of it's out.
Yeah, and so he's all worried about where that trailer went now, 17 years later.
You know, it seems to me like I remember hearing calls from Jody they were talking about her going down and going through stuff.
And his stuff was in there, I believe. I think they had his stuff packed up in that trailer. Or he had stored stuff of his in that trailer.
It looks like more of the same. Another one kind of in the midst of a bunch of cars here. There's that trailer again.
Yeah.
Over here to the left. Same thing looks like. All those cars, man.
What is the point of these pictures? Like, how is this an evidence picture? Like, what is it evidence of? That it
I don't know.
That it was a yard full of cars?
No, that's what I was saying before. I don't really think that these were necessarily evidence pictures other than what Reese did, and actually it's Trooper Austin that did it. They took a bunch of photos and fed them into that total control unit and did the recreation from it.
So they took a whole bunch of these pictures and wasted money for the tax dollars for them to recreate what they had pictures of anyway. For what reason anyway? Like, what actually, of those digital photographs, what exactly were used at trial? And
the garage
and what point were they at any good? Like, did they show the whole yard like this?
No. No.
So let's just bring everybody onto the yard and have them trample through what may or may not be a crime scene and take all these pictures for something we're never going to use.
Yes.
Here you go.
Correct.
That gives you a really good view of how many cars there are.
Remember, you got to follow the money, right? So all these people got paid overtime and all kinds of shit to do this.
Hell yeah, they did.
Well, that's what I was saying before. I was like, 4 buckets from that we had to go buy at Menards, we can charge Calumet $20 a bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we had to buy this, and it cost us
Some
money.
Of those receipts are just ridiculous on what they were paying for. They repadded the courthouse seats at Calumet County for the trial, and that was paid for by Manitowoc for this case.
That's right.
Like, this is obviously just like, here, come, let's open every single trunk in these cars. Okay, you got to think about that too. They supposedly opened every single one of those trunks, so they had people coming in for overtime just to do that, to find nothing.
Yeah, speaking of it,
they should get all the pictures of the cars like you've shown today and put them all on a great big board blowing up, and then say, how did Pam find it so quickly?
Exactly. That's always been my point.
Yep.
She's there within a half an hour. It's like, holy crap. But talking about those, go ahead.
It's just a sea of cars. It's mind blowing. How many?
It is. I mean,
Ben says to me, like, look at that sea of cars. Stephen Avery supposedly killed this woman and had all of this evidence, but instead of planting it in the middle of this sea, he puts it right on the outskirts of his property.
Yeah, so it could be found, because if you put it in the middle there,
they would have never found anything. He could have thrown it underneath the car in the middle, the key underneath the car in the middle of that, in a puddle, and they probably never would have found the key.
It literally is a sea of cars. It really is.
It's mind-boggling. Like, you wouldn't even know where to start.
Here's another one with this berm, or I guess, or call this the pit area.
I'll tell you what, you'd be battling to cover that in a day, let alone 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Even as a young person going out and trying to figure out how would you go about to map it off where you're not recovering ground, and not double looking at the same car.
I can tell you how. From the sky.
Credit.
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
And that's how you find it. And that sea of cars is be above it and looking down. It's the only way.
It's really good.
But let me ask you this. Let's say the RAV had been planted in the middle of those cars.
Right.
Do you think they would have been able to tell the way that they could have had it been like, think of where it was found over where there's only several cars. There was not a whole shit ton of cars over by that little pond area. There's like a row on that road above it, and then there's nothing in front of it, and then there's a bunch of cars here and on the side, but they're not like all condensed like that. So then again, I say, why would he plant it like he did, right on the edge of his property, on a berm where it's above ground? It's not actually in this pit. And then like kind of with branches and shit on it. It was like staged that way. Because if you're really going to plant it, why didn't you plant it in the middle of that fucking car land?
Right, like right here.
Yeah, I mean, nothing looks natural about it whatsoever.
No.
And nor does the blood or anything inside it. Nothing looks natural. Maybe Teresa's blood probably looks the most real to me out of the whole.
Yeah, I agree there.
But I'm wondering if they would have seen it from the sky if it had been planted in the middle.
I don't think you would have noticed it was that RAV, because it would have been so condensed, you wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah,
you would have been on the roof.
Forest in the trees. Yep. Forest in the trees. Only if that spare tire cover had been visible, and that would have been easily hidden in this sea of cars.
Exactly. Where it wasn't where it was at. It was the RAV wasn't even in the row of cars. It was like in the middle of a row. It was like in the road.
Double parked.
Right.
Double parked. Yes, it was.
It was totally on a stage.
Mm-hmm.
There's that little tent again, Jack, that we saw.
Right there.
Now that's kind of back in the, like, is that by
that's
his?
Dassey.
That's by the
back of the day. Yeah, we had another photo of it. It's a lot.
Back corner of Dassey. We just saw this photo. What, 20 minutes ago?
Roll 3.
And
roll 3, I think.
The fifth?
I'm starting to think it's a aviary for birds. Is it not an aviary for birds?
Or is this the 7th?
You know what I mean? Like
this is the 7th.
Oh, it's more likely a tent then. Looks like an aviary.
If it is an evidence tent, why didn't they buy something like that to put over the RAV when it was raining?
That's a damn good question.
Because then they're going to be seen sneaking into it.
Exactly. There goes Jeff. Like hearing that, right, Jeff?
That's the answer I was looking for. Well, I think it's important, because we got to be real. If we really do believe, and like I do believe that blood of Stevens was planted, then you need to explain that. You need to at least have potential ideas of when this could have taken place. And I think if everybody's saying, no, we didn't see any blood in there, then all of a sudden it gets to the, gets back for processing and there's blood in there. So, we use algebra, right? 1 plus x equals 2. Well, what is that x? It's 1. And that's how I see it.
I'm trying to orient myself where we are, because here's a propane tank. What the hell is it doing here on this? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to.
Is that the one that operates Mom and Pa's?
Maybe it's just an empty one they don't no longer use, had a hole in it or something.
Yep, those things are generally. Well, I couldn't. If it's junk, I could understand if it's beyond repair. But typically, those things, if they develop problems, the propane company takes it back and they do their thing and fix them. But maybe that one was beyond repair.
Didn't a propane driver guy go out there on the 31st?
He was at the Phillips station that we looked at, the big tank across the way.
Right across the road.
I thought there was 2 that day. Like another guy came and he spoke to Ma, remember? He said that Ma had come out and he spoke to her. And he said something about there was like a lime green car or something in the driveway.
Yeah, it seemed like I do remember that. I think I do remember that.
And he was there at like 12:31-ish or something around there. I'll have to find that, actually.
All right, this is the end of this roll. Would you like me to proceed?
I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, keep going. I love them.
That's roll.
How many rolls are there?
There's 20 rolls.
Holy shit. I don't think I've seen these before.
This is roll 6 coming up, dated again on the 7th. It's labeled Crusher, Southeast Salvage Yard. Crusher, Southeast Salvage Yard. Yep, that's it. All right.
Are these from the ones Seeking Truth once released? I know she used to have the State Patrol pictures out there.
Yeah. Well, same ones, and I also got the same ones from. I can't remember that. I think her name was April. She's a records custodian for the.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was wrong.
She's a records custodian for the state troopers.
Oh, okay.
April.
I don't know who that one is.
She has an unusual last name. I can't remember. So, definitely moving into the Crusher area.
These ones I remember.
This is the east side of the pit, facing south.
And it's the east-south side. It's like that area.
And on the top right corner of this picture is where the RAV was found. Yeah, there's a lot of... see, this is what I'm saying. There was resources enough around to have a giant fire to incinerate a body, but they weren't used. You know what I mean? Like, that's... Here's all this tires that would burn, at a crazy heat. But here's a Cavalier.
Yeah, that color kind of reminds me of that sort of the Pinto. It's got that orangey bronzy orange color. Going up a little hill here to, I don't know, maybe we'll see another photo. Looks like this more down this. I don't think this is Conveyor Road. I think those come later. Here we go. Here's another more open. There's the Crusher back here. I mean, if Avery had a pile of tires like that, in his yard to use as a fuel source, okay. Maybe you could say he could calcine on some bones, but...
Right, if it all of a sudden disappeared, it was like, hey, we know that there was 400 tires here on Tuesday, and they're gone
Right.
by Thursday, Stephen,
Right.
you know, that would be something. But it's the opposite. Less was burned in actuality, right? There was no, you know, fire with flames that, you know, went over the garage or anything like this.
It's like I want to say that's a cop car.
I
Those
think
are
it's
three of them. It looks like
yeah.
them. And there's a guy standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked
You
like
can
a
see
couple
these
of guys.
guys standing there on the old flyovers too. They have them kind of around
So
the pit
is
over
the
there.
tree line to the left there on the left side, that's where the RAV was discovered. Am I correct? Yes. You see how there's a couple rows of cars there? It was like behind.
It'd be like
that.
right behind that guy where he's standing is probably where the RAV would
Actually,
have been, somewhere
right.
in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Close to
It was
bush.
down in here, down in this area here, wasn't it?
It's up
Yeah,
a
in that
little.
general
It's but
area.
more by those trees, wasn't it? Like that's the tree
Right
line
by
that it was.
I think to
This
the trees
is
to the
this
left.
is in front of the pond. Those cars are in front of the pond.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I'm not oriented right in my brain.
So I
Okay,
think
another.
standing here, you're standing like there, but like you're looking to the right.
We don't see where you're pointing though. So when you say there, we don't know where there is.
Oh, look to the right. Look to the right on the photo. Look to the right on
No,
the
it's
photo.
actually
is what
to
I'm
the
saying.
left of the photo, not the right.
It's on our right side on the screen. That would be where the RAV is, over in that area.
Yes.
It doesn't actually show, I think, where the RAV is. It's off screen there.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, there's more tires, right? And then a whole ton more of tires.
It is.
So all
These
these
are kind of blurry, huh? They're not very like digitalized. They look
No, they're not. They're not high def. You know, actually, in actuality, I think that these photos, I think they had to scan them.
Oh, maybe that's why they're a little rough in the
Yeah,
pixels.
I think they had to scan them. Is the reason they're not really that great. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not that great. You certainly can't. You know, if I zoom in on one too much, it starts pixelating like that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this
Okay.
earlier because it came across my, came across when we were looking, and I think, had there been Ring doorbell cameras back in 2005, we might not even be here today. You know,
They didn't even have real smartphones back then.
I mean, but like, look at how different it is and how it's changed so much just from 2005. Even
Yeah.
like, there's just cameras everywhere. You know, Teresa would have drove past. Like I've seen in cases, they're like, we've seen the car drive past this convenience store 3 times. We've identified it, right? Like, just cameras everywhere, and in a way, it's weird because it's Big Brother. You know, everybody's watching everybody.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's safer because it's harder to get away with stuff.
It's that trade-off, right? It's always that trade-off.
That's right.
All right, that's the end of that. That's the end of that roll. Let's move on.
Okay, this is roll number 6,
What?
if I'm counting correctly.
7, wasn't it?
Actually, that was roll 7.
Wow, we're really cruising through here.
Okay. Oh, damn it. Let me go back. Okay, roll 7. Let's see. Yeah.
Are
Okay.
these on Foul Play site or no?
No, I don't think so. No, I can get them to you though. I think I've got them. I've got them somewhere, either on Google Drive or OneDrive or somewhere.
I might have some from her.
Okay, this one's dated.
It goes for kind of everybody for the most part. You know, if people want copies of photos, you know, I mean, we have the links up. You guys can go and view most of this stuff, right?
Yeah, actually, if you want, Jeff, I'll share the link with you, and you can embed it into the video description. I'll get these
great.
uploaded, or get the link
cool.
to the upload.
Cool.
This is roll 8 coming. It's also dated on the 7th, and it just says salvage yard. So these are probably just going to be kind of more of the same background, going around the yard just taking photos.
Well, the yard's so big, of course they got to take it, several photos.
Yeah.
Of nothing, which they paid to have, produced for nothing.
Sure. Hey, that retirement's not going to make itself.
Did they say this was like the most expensive investigation in Wisconsin?
In state's history. Yep. It was at the time anyway.
because they were paying people to basically come and do a job, but really you're not really doing nothing. We don't really need it, but come and work, come and make some money. Look, what's with that big crowd of people? Is that a bunch of people standing there? You see that?
Orient me.
The yellow.
Oh,
is that Lank?
Oh, what's that?
What's that little huddle over there? What's that huddle? What are they huddling over there for?
I don't know.
Lank painted with the yellow jacket. Didn't he wear a yellow jacket?
The name of the local football program for the Packers called In the Huddle.
Well, they definitely got a huddle of like 6 people there, 7 people.
And there's more than that.
There's side over here.
No, it looks like there's more over here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I see at least 14 people in this.
Yeah, well, what the fuck are they doing over there?
I don't know.
Plotting.
Should they have all been at Cuss Road? Why are they huddling over here?
They're
Didn't
plotting.
expect us to see that one.
They're plotting Cuss Road.
Yes, quickly send that to Kathleen.
And this gives you
that's proof right there.
This gives you an even better understanding of the pit, because the other ones, but you can really see it here. That's a hell of a drop.
That's a point. If you wouldn't mind going back just a quick, Jack. This is a point that I think is really lost on a lot of people. The difference in elevation from when you're down in quote unquote the pit.
Right.
Yeah.
And from up on, and that looks like the back of Dassey's house. It'd be my guess. So I think it's important to understand, like, yeah, you're close, but you're not on the same level. So you might not hear things the same, or you might not be able to. Yeah, and I think it really messes with your ability to see what's going on. Now, if you're standing on top of that cliff, you can see everything going on. Anybody moving around in the quarry. But if you're down in the pit, you can't see up and see where everybody is. So it gives you a disadvantage down there. So I think it's a really, really important photo that, because we go through this ourselves, Well, could you see it from there? It's hard to tell because you're not at a flat, ground. You're 2 levels, and in some cases, maybe even 3 levels.
Yeah, it's because we've looked at several photos, just the ones we looked at tonight. We've had side photos of where we're looking at this side hill right here, but they were more elevated, so you didn't get the impact. But I do remember seeing that. And that's the reason I was making a comment about it. So yeah, absolutely. That's actually a pretty decent hill there. If I was a kid,
is that a blazer there?
Right here on the left.
On the right side. The blue blazer. If I ever saw one.
Right in front of that red car.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the blazer or Suburban.
Yeah. There's another one of those sidekicks. That red is a sidekick.
You could think that was the RAV if you were up in the sky, couldn't you? Looking down.
Well, you wouldn't confuse that for green.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a green one right there.
There it is.
Talking about, not the first one.
That reminds me of this quick story. I was renting a car in Colorado, and the guy didn't have my size, so I just pointed out to the brand new Jeep, and I was like, "How about that green one? I'll take that green one." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he reluctantly gave it to me, and it worked.
Oh wow! Hell yeah!
Jedi mind tricks on him or so. Okay.
I was going to say, hey, that red one blew the motivator out of it, so they had to get R2-D2.
Exactly. This is exactly what happened. Great analogy. Yeah, lots of cars out there to see.
Sea of cars.
Surprisingly, we do see some kind of more modern-ish cars. They're not all extremely old vehicles. There are some that do, have a little bit more modern flair.
But really, nothing that I've seen. Of course, again, these are not that great of photographs. They're not bad, but nothing that would, to me, that ever caught my eye that looked as sharp as what that RAV would have looked.
Yeah, that may be true.
Maybe a few. Now I think we're heading here towards Conveyor Road, if I'm not right, or if I'm not mistaken.
Conveyor belt, see in the background.
Yeah, you can see the conveyor.
That might be why they did cover it, Jack, because it did look so sharp.
Yeah.
Put a dirty old hood in front of it.
Yeah. Tone down some of that sharpness.
Yep. Piece of plywood on the side.
Mm-hmm. Bit of rubbish on the bonnet, some sticks on the roof.
Yep. That's right.
And voila.
And this kind of looks like a... Didn't somebody say this was the bowl, like a bowl area? That kind of bowls.
Isn't that the conveyor over there?
That is conveyor. Yep, that's Conveyor Road over there. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I've never seen this photo before.
I'll make sure you get a copy of all of them.
Yeah, I like this one because this one kind of demonstrates what I was talking about. How when you're standing up on the cliff and you're looking down in, you can see everything. You can see a rabbit move. But when you're down in the pit, you really can't see much other than, 20 feet around you.
Do you want to know what it demonstrates to me?
What?
It demonstrates that there's more like little muddy spots than just the berm.
Absolutely.
Mud. There's many puddles of mud. Yep. It's not just.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Berm. It's everywhere. There's heaps of dips throughout the whole salvage yard that you see them.
I mean, there was a section that was flooded out. You couldn't even get through.
Is that the deer camp there? Deer Camp Road over there?
This is more towards the back. The back of the.
Yeah. What's quarry. That on the? What are those pine trees? That area? Other way. Right.
If you were going to the deer camp, I believe that would be more to your right, looking like
I'm trying to move
right there over there.
Keep going.
That might be that.
Other way,
area.
Back to the other side.
Yeah, that there, up the top there.
She's talking right.
What is that? Up the top. No, up the top of the hill. Go back.
Let me zoom out. Let me zoom out, and you tell me which side, right or left.
Right.
Right side.
All those pine trees over there.
Yep, in the very corner. See them in the corner up on a hill? Yeah, can you zoom in there? What's that place?
I think that's the edge of the part where Verdant has the campground, right? The deer camp.
Yeah,
that's kind of the edge of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So if you keep going right, if you were going to keep going right, I think off the picture, actually, you could see the deer camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's still to the right, though. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I find
that's
a
fascinating point. I mean, think about that. That's a vantage point from that other side that you can see everything into the
Avery yard.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody at the deer camp could seriously just be scoping out where to plant something from up there.
Exactly. Look at all.
So you don't actually have to have a personal knowledge of everything in the yard. Somebody standing at that vantage point could take a pair of binoculars and look at every single car in that place and every single little road and everything.
I didn't realize how close the cars came up to the edge of the deer camp road there and the conveyor road. Like, I've never seen this photo before, and I'm seeing everything.
I think that's more the
completely different
where you're looking. Like the deer camp is more north from where those trees are, but it is in that area.
Yeah.
Well,
because isn't there a whole quarry? There's a whole quarry between the deer camp and Avery's yard, right?
Yeah. Before you came on, Jinx, on roll 3, wasn't it, guys? We could see from the back of the Dassey property across the quarry to the deer camp. You could see the trailer.
Yeah. But it's across the quarry, though, right?
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Yeah. Look, more people.
But it's really more straight across from the Dasseys is what I took from that. I could be wrong. I mean, it's just a picture, it's just images, and it's just us interpreting them, but that's what it looked like to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely get a bird's eye view to me. Probably of either property, but we were talking about which barrel was on fire, and if he was looking and saw a barrel on fire, it would have had to have been at the back of the Dassey property because Avery's burn barrel was in the front.
Right.
That's right. His burn barrel was in the front.
Josh drew a map. It was definitely the Darcy barrel.
Okay, then so who was operating it then?
So on this day,
Good
when
question,
we're looking
Cal.
at this, why are all these people back here, all these cars, and then the fire department? What's the fire department van doing back there?
Well, it looks like an ambulance, yeah?
Well, right, the ambulance, the Michigan ambulance or whatever.
Right. Yeah, what is the direction?
Like, what are they doing? They're all huddling again over here by these cars.
I don't know. You got a couple guys over here, and then
a couple guys up in the grassy knoll there.
In case they find Teresa, maybe.
And then you got 1, 2,
5, 6 people there.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like a couple. He might be kneeling. You got several people right here in this midsection, so I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Is that a police?
Like they literally only found the RAV in that area, right? Nothing else is found.
Is that a cop's ATV?
Nothing.
Is. Look at that. Behind that, right there. Zoom in. That's an eight. Yeah. Is that a four-wheeler?
Like a four-wheeler.
Yep.
Owned by law enforcement that they're tooling around in there and having a good old time. May I get the
probably?
Oh Jesus.
And maybe even bought it out of this.
Smoking some cigarettes, playing a
Manitowoc will pay for it.
Paid to do it. I mean,
that's the rule of thumb. Manitowoc will pay for it. Whatever, just bill it to Manitowoc.
Jesus Christ.
That's a pretty rough photo here. It's pretty grainy.
It's kind of like a photo out of that movie, Into the Wild or something.
Another photo of the sea of cars hidden in a little bit of grass and conveyor. Yeah, it's conveyor.
Yeah.
Yep. Then
the tires. Yep. The ambulance.
Yep.
What's that car in there? Is that an old one? Yeah, it's an old car.
Now you get a kind of a sense of that's a huge pile of tires.
Now we're talking about burning up a body. You know what I mean? Honestly,
I'm sure.
Talking those terms, but like that's something that maybe you could say, well, maybe that would get hot enough to do that because those tires get amazingly hot, and if you have a pile of 150, 200 tires,
if you had 20 tires and you could get a little air to them, little bellows, you make an extremely hot fire.
I don't think they actually removed any of those tires to see if there was anything underneath it. So he literally could have just thrown the key into those pile of fucking tires and nobody would ever found it. But yet he puts it right by his fucking bookcase, my ass.
Right. the dogs would have found it though. You can hide it from people, but
it didn't have any of her DNA on it. So did it smell like her? How would they have found it?
Is that another tent?
Well, they did collect all the dog poop from all around the area.
Yeah. And some questionable human poop with hair in it.
We got 8 or 9 people here again in this. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly 9. And I don't know if that's a tent back there or not. Maybe. I can't tell.
It's like a car.
The front end loader has moved since you showed us those last pictures. Somebody's operating this because it was just moved and it had a car in it. So who's operating the front end loader when all this is going on? Earl?
Well, it can't be anybody on the property. They were all kept off the property.
Yeah, that had to be.
Question to know who's operating the front end loader.
They brought in someone with a front end loader, have they?
That's the Avery front end loader.
Yeah, that's Avery front end loader. That's what they would use to load cars in the crusher and then take them out.
Is that a person in front of it too, with a hard hat on it?
You want to go back a couple photos, Jack, and show that picture where they got an actual car lifted up in that. There you go.
So yeah, who's moving this?
I don't know.
Wow.
And look, there's the guy with the hard hat that's in front of it later.
Fire brigade are
Look,
probably in
there's
it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people over there, 7 over here. There's that ATV or that 4-wheeler.
So, why do
Yeah,
you have
there's
to move?
several. There's several here. Looks like maybe somebody right there, somebody in the front end loader, and you got at least 2 guys over here.
Mm-hmm.
So is it normal for people to just come onto a property for an investigation and jump in their equipment and start moving junked cars around?
No, without permission.
Were they pulling out the car to see if anybody was in it? Because there was a car in the crusher when they showed up on the 5th, if I remember right. Is that
Yeah,
that
there
car?
was. Could be.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Could it be somebody from Norbert controlling that, taking the car out?
I know that they contacted that guy, but I don't remember if he came down there or not. I just don't remember. Maybe.
And that don't look like a tent. It looks like a shitty trailer that's been bent up or something.
Yeah.
Or an outbuilding that's been drugged back there.
Yeah, or
Little outbuilding.
No, I think it's the back of a tray back of a vehicle.
Yeah, up on a hill or
Could
something.
be.
Kind of on a
It could be.
That's definitely a 4-wheeler that they have there. Man, they get to 4-wheel around and
That's a gator in it. That says alligator, or I mean, it says sheriff on the back of it there.
That might be
that's
gator.
interesting too.
Pretty sure that's a gator.
You have to have pretty good eyesight to see that.
Now, who are these people? Are these the firemen that came to the property? They don't look like officers to me.
I wonder if Earl knows that someone was moving around in his
There was a
machine.
lot of fire brigade there on the sign in, sign out.
But would
There's
they be
definitely-
wearing, like,
there's
beige
definitely
like
some-
that?
And definitely one,
Emergency
at least one cop there.
That's a state trooper. Like, I know from the emblem.
Yeah.
I know that that's the state trooper emblem just from growing up there.
And that guy right behind that car, I think, has that tripod. It looks like he has that tripod camera to me.
Yeah, that's the total control unit. That was Reese. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Austin.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, we'll go back forward here.
Yeah, thanks
Okay, this-
for going back and looking at that.
Oh, sure, no problem.
They're moving. They're moving something. Somebody's doing something.
Anytime you need me to go back, you guys just tell me.
Cheers.
Go back to number 3 that you were just telling. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew you were going to say that. Here you go.
Yeah, he's doing that thing. with
Holding up the shovel
poles.
again?
Those are the poles to. I wonder if those are like to get the demographics, like the GPS unit. What's on the top there?
That's that total control unit. Yeah, or I think it is, or maybe that's part of it. But yes, that's what they use that to get the GPS coordinates. They could pull them in, like really, really close.
They use those for like surveying too. I think like properties and stuff.
That Volkswagen doesn't look too old. Zoom in on that. It looks like a fairly new car.
Oh, the Passat or Golf or whatever that is.
Oh, yeah. What happened there? I thought it was get closer. It's not. Yeah. Anyway,
Is there somebody sitting on top of that car? What the hell is that?
it's a really good
There's
question.
somebody standing. Sure as hell looks like it.
Hanging out on top of the car.
He's just hanging out on top of that. Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know what that is.
Come on.
I have no idea. It is.
It looks like a person.
It absolutely is somebody. That is absolutely somebody there. What the fuck are they doing?
Told you they're hanging out, drinking
I'm
beers.
saying they gotta like. This is the whole thing is just because we have to work today. So
I don't think they're
boss and get paid. So
Jinx. I don't think they're smoking. Jinx. I don't think they were smoking cigarettes. I'm sorry.
They were
I
definitely
think
drinking some beers or something over there.
I think it was a little something, maybe 420 time or something.
crystal.
Well, I wasn't
meth
going to say that, but yes.
Sounds like.
Hey,
crack.
is that the toolkit that's missing?
Here's the almost
Hang
looks.
on.
Here's
Is that distilled water? Can you zoom in?
That's
Oh,
not water.
Jesus,
That looks like a
here we
lint
go.
roller to me, or a light
Yeah.
of some sort.
There's no way that they would put their distilled water out there, would they?
It looks like a dropper on the top.
It does kind of look like that, but it can't be it. What is that? That's a handheld. Cylinder.
Yeah.
What is that?
Your cab looks like a drop.
See what you want to see now. You're just looking for what you want to see, you know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I get it. I wish I could. There's a tarp. Oh my god.
Another tarp. Tarp number 3.
It's my trigger thing lately. Is that whenever I see a tarp, I get suspicious. What are you hiding behind that tarp?
Look at all the old motorcycles back here.
Talking
I would
about
take one of those.
Yes, Earl did say, he goes in one of his statements, all there's back there is motorbikes.
Yeah, there's not much back there. Nobody really goes back there because it's kind of like the forgotten back area. And
but there's
who
not
knows
really that many motorbikes either. There's only like about 5.
So if you look on the left here, look on the left side, there is a kind of a row there. So like where the RAV was found is almost the second row deep back here. Makes it really hard to see even from Chuck's house. It was really well hidden, I think. That's my opinion. It was well hidden from your vantage point, from Avery's or Dassey's or
across the yard from them completely, diagonally, almost.
That's right.
Here we go.
Okay,
hidden
we go.
in plain sight.
Is that the tarp they just left it there?
Good eye.
We don't need this anymore.
We don't need it.
For that purpose.
Right, Manitowoc's paying for it, so it don't matter. Leave it.
It doesn't matter. I really think that's the attitude, to be honest. Like, well, just build it to Manitowoc.
Have you looked at those receipts that Jinx got?
Not recently, but when I think she shared them with me at one point.
Oh my God. Outrageous you guys were talking about the buckets. I don't know if I started to say this. I don't think I did. But I can't remember if it was Shedder or maybe Jinx can remember. One of them went to Menards or somewhere, and they bought 15 5-gallon buckets. Just boom. They got paid for.
Buckets, tarps.
Yep.
Bottles
groceries, groceries for their house.
Yeah, what I don't think they got paid. They bought some kind of tenting system, but not until after all of this, but was charged to Avery, which I have no idea what the
you may need it for next time, Yeah.
It was after March even, so there's that thing still moving around over there.
There it is. Yeah, front end loader has moved again. What's it doing now? What's it moving? Something
I don't know.
They're moving all that shit.
The light's on, so
Yep.
Can you zoom into the front a little bit at all of the front end loader to see what we can see, what it's carrying?
No, that's far over as I can get it. That's it.
At the end of a picture, so we.
Yeah, it's clipped over. Yeah.
It does look like the light is on. I mean, it could be. No, it really does look like.
I think it's definitely on.
So
here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Moving it again. We're really getting. This is kind of laying a course for us. It's kind of following a narrative because it's getting just enough for us to see them. Oh, now they're up to something. These guys are focused in on working over there.
Like, just think, this is wet, muddy land that could have had feet prints in it. Remember, she was talking about we should take these shoes and check them for any feet prints. But now you have these guys just walking, trampling, driving with these big front loader all over the land.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're not professionals, but seems like the wrong approach to me.
Yes.
Yeah, considering her car, her Teresa's vehicle's found not very far from this point here.
Right. I mean, wouldn't that be one of the first things that you thought? Is there any way that we can, see which way it came in, but through tracks? Before we move this, let's do take some, just look around for tracks or anything. And I just don't think that they thought like that because it wasn't important.
Like what day?
It's interesting you say that. Yet the day that she goes in with Tyson to do the walkthrough, she's talking about taking the shoes for feet prints of other crimes. But yet they didn't think to do or look for any of that kind of stuff around the RAV.
Interesting.
The folder is the folder is dated 11/8.
Right. Okay.
So they're just about to find the plates, pretty much.
Have they? What date did they find her bones? Because the 8th.
The 8th.
You'd be expecting them to just have the whole area a crime scene instead of, like you said, trotting all over everything. like because they haven't actually found Teresa yet.
Right.
This is the last photo in folder 8.
No. Oh, and just folder 8. See.
Folder 8.
Oh.
Can you zoom right in? I want to see if I can see the neighbours.
What's that last photo?
Yeah, you can see some neighbours in the distance.
Hold on.
I mean, it is nice to see that kind of how far, because you can see that like fire or something. You could really see that from a long distance, but it's not like they're close that you could hear them.
Well, you know, I'm just thinking,
milk. Too far to walk over for a cup of milk, though, you know.
Yeah, I know, but like I want to see who's close enough to have eyes on the property.
Oh no, absolutely, I'm with you. I love the exploring. And is it a silo? What is that?
Oh, so that's
looks like it.
So that's sure what that is.
What is that on the left? I don't even know. Is that
Chuck's
house?
That's the Chuck's? Tin Man.
The Tin Man.
See his eyeballs and his little hat.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
We got to find the Tin Man. He knows what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's really not.
We'll find the straw man too.
Okay, what's that up there? Oh, that's the.
That's back into the property behind here.
Yeah.
Why do they all have pink stickers on them?
Maybe that was their way of showing they went through the trunk.
Oh.
Because they went through the trunk twice of some of these cars, if I remember.
Very, very smart. You know, sometimes you're just so brilliant.
I mean, I don't know if that's it. I mean, it could be.
Yeah, I don't know whose house that is. I don't know if it's Chuck's or not. I'm not oriented enough to know. And I sure as hell don't know what that is.
Me neither.
Okay. All right. We good? We'll stop.
On to the next. As Big Jeff.
Okay.
There was actually a house at the end of, just to answer Maz, she asked, wasn't Redont the nearest neighbor? Actually, the end of the road at Avery Road on 147 and Avery Road, there was actually a house there that people lived in at the time of this. So that would be his nearest neighbor, in my opinion.
Roll 9 is dated 11/7/05, and it says, again, salvage yard.
More pictures of them doing nothing in the yard.
Wait, this looks like I copied this folder a second time.
Oops.
I did. Let me just double check this. Looks like for some reason I got the folder in here twice. Oh, wait. No, these are different.
Different but the same. Oh, I need to put some lotion on my arm.
Where are we at now?
Hold on.
9.
This is another. Well, you'll see. I'm fixing to share it. Anyway, this is still the 7th salvage yard. It looks like more photos of basically kind of like what we've been looking at the last couple rolls.
These look a little more clearer.
So 7th is Cuss Road Day too.
And now they're dumping more. They're moving that front end loader again to the new position.
It's now in front of it, because it was behind that crusher. Now it's in front.
Yeah.
Yep,
that's right.
Something in its forks. It's like dumping that. It's like dumping that.
What did they need an ambulance back there for on the 7th?
That's to take the burn barrels away.
What burn barrels?
Not down there. There weren't any burn barrels.
Burn barrels were taken away on the 5th or 6th from Dassey's residence, and they took the barrel from Stephen that was way in
Maybe
front
it's
of
not
that
an ambulance.
place.
Yeah, it is an ambulance.
It is? I don't think it is. Can we zoom in?
Fire. I reckon it's fire.
I think it's a fire ambulance. I
so
believe
it's like it could be, but I'm saying it's not like a transporting bodies type ambulance, you know.
Yes. Well, I think they had one from fire rescue. Maybe not. Maybe like a rescue. Maybe not like
Yeah, so I said fire and rescue. That's what the guys all look like. And we can find out. All we have to do is look up the sign in, sign out login sheets for the day. And it tells you there was fire and rescue there.
Yeah, they had two different ones. They had one from Manitowoc, I think, and this other one. I think that's right.
I got a couple calls or radio transmissions from the fire department, but I think it's only for the 5th.
Oh.
Where the Mishicot ambulance or the fire department was asked to
provide an ambulance, bring an ambulance down. Yeah.
And to actually block off some of the roads too, like at Jambo Creek and whatever on the 5th when they did that.
So they've also got the dogs there that day. They've got Cuss Road happening that day. You've got these guys crashing cars, pulling cars out, standing around.
Yep, troopers flying around, taking photos.
So why everybody's over here in the back of the lot, and then everyone's over on Cuss Road, and then you have a bunch of these little tiny citizen groups also doing searches in the area. So who's around the Stephen property right in that vicinity to be watching to see if anybody plants the plates, the electronics were found on the 7th. Those kinds of things are all found in the front. So sometimes I feel like all of these other things are red herrings so that everybody's over here at the back of the pit. Everybody's over here at Cuss Road while somebody's over on Avery Road by Avery's trailer planting.
Just having their way.
And then you
because
just work
nobody's
out
there to watch them because they're all over here and they're all over there.
Then you work out who was there when the planting of the evidence was found.
Right.
And a couple of common names.
Yeah, like Colburn and Lank.
I don't know.
Both of them had to kneel in front of that open bookshelf and put the magazines away because one grown man couldn't do it by himself in that tiny little area.
Yeah, and the only police department in the United States that puts a damn thing back after they search it.
Exactly. And Andy felt compelled that he wanted to pick it up and shake it and just treat it really rough and throw it around just randomly out of nowhere. He felt like doing that on that day.
Thought he was angry because he saw naked nipples or something. Didn't he see some?
Well, yeah, face turned red or something.
Who Link?
Colby.
Yeah, he was searching Stephen's desk.
Smut cabinet.
Came across.
And he did that more than once for somebody who was so offended by the smut.
Well, you know, he had to double check it.
Remember, there's a picture on the 5th where they took all of that stuff out of that book cabinet and found no key. And there's somebody actually kneeling right in front of it, and you can see how small that little part of is. So that to see two people kneeling in that little area is just obviously they're doing something nefarious, in my opinion.
I know, but how many times did they search his trailer and find nothing? You know, it's a trailer. It's not a 3-story house with 8 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms.
Agreed. Yes.
It's what,
20
feet by 40
feet?
Yeah. And we're going to keep searching it and searching it and searching it. And then, you know.
I get the idea of being a creeper right now. These seem like some photos of somebody who'd be creeping around behind the bushes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does seem.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Taking photos through the trees here.
Kind of creeping around. No one can see you behind the trees. But
maybe this was to make sure that nobody could see them planting evidence
no
from the yard.
For real.
You're sounding like that someone is coming from experience.
Well,
creeping around
road again.
The bushes, peering through. So, you find yourself doing that often?
Not in a while. It's been a while, you know.
Okay. Having a break.
Where were you in 2005, Jeff?
You know, it's a good question. I can't actually pin that down, but I was in the region. I was in the area.
Just say what the rest of them say, Jeff. I don't recall.
I don't recall.
I can't recall.
I don't know if this is. It is. This is a similar photo of what we looked at a minute ago at the end of that last roll.
Yeah. It's really looking like
is
it's the
that
top
the
of
house
a silo.
that's at the corner of Avery Road and what do you call it?
That might be.
Is that
I'm
their
telling you,
house
that's a
that got
silo.
ripped down? And is that their
Don't know.
silo? Did they have one over there? You know
I
that
just
house that
don't-
sat right on 147 and Avery Road, and like when you turned in, there used to be a house there by that sign.
It's gone now, right? That house been
it's
torn
gone
down.
now. Yeah, it's been torn down. It's no longer there. You can still kind of see where it was, though.
Oh my God,
And-
yes, it could be too because it's got the Tin Man behind it, hasn't it? The spring tubes.
Yeah, the spring tubes. I think that's their
Nice
house.
photo.
on
Yes,
the
I think you
corner.
might be right. Yep. Wow. I was trying. My little brain was trying to rattle itself into working out where that was. But yeah,
you go to
I
the
think
right
you've nailed
side?
it. I
The
don't
right
know.
side?
Yeah. Okay, so here's another thing. Maybe you could back up a little bit. Like when we talk about which way the rev came in, right? We're always like, I wish maybe that's one thing that we could think about is like,
Yes.
how
It's-
would you turn it? You know what I
People up
mean? Like,
there on that hill.
where is the opportunity now? Back where they were, yes, right in there, exactly, where they were moving cars and they were moving that front end loader is kind of that area that if you had to turn a vehicle around, it'd be in that flat zone. I think you nailed it, Jack.
That's a pretty high berm when you look at it
It really is.
Oh,
from down there.
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Hey,
Look at
somebody
there's people
standing
up
there? Is
Yeah,
that
there's
two
people up
guys
there, up
creeping
on the
right
top.
there?
Yep.
Oh, it is
Two guys
too.
creeping.
Yeah.
On the
Wow.
hill.
Those are the pictures. Those could be the pictures from the reverse angle. Remember we said there was like photos creeping along? Wow, that's a good
look.
eye that I spotted these
Oh look,
guys.
it's Ryan and Scott Blowdorn.
It
Oh,
could be
thank
they
you.
were there on the 7th.
Yeah,
What the
look.
fuck?
They were
What
there
the-
on the 7th inside the
What the
yard.
fuck? What the fuck are these guys doing down there?
Was he wearing a beanie, black beanie
Yes.
cap? Is that
Yes,
oh my
and a
god.
green jacket.
They did have searchers
Ryan?
in the surrounding area, so that could be one of the groups of searchers
That's
that
that were
Ryan?
not in the yard but around the yard.
Tell me.
I
You
think
can lie
the
to
only
me.
question should be is, are they wearing shirts?
Yeah.
Definitely look
Honestly,
like
yeah.
they got black shirts on. Okay.
Good call. Front end loader's moved again, Joe.
Front end loader has been
Yeah,
moved
they're
again.
just
Why
moving it
are
all
they
around.
doing
What
the
are
work?
they doing?
Are they helping the Averys out? Tidying
I'm
up
wondering
a
if
little
they're
bit?
looking through the crushed cars that were like piled up in that area. See how they're all crushed over there? They were like all piled on top of each other too, so they might be taking them down. But the thing
Probably.
is, why are they using their did they get permission
zoom in
to
on the
use that
ambulance?
or not? The front end loader.
I want to read that.
Michigan Fire
Got-
Department.
Yep.
So it's
Fire
not
and
an
rescue.
ambulance, it's a
Fire,
fire.
and
fire,
rescue.
fire and rescue. Exactly what it is.
That's what we thought it was, and now we confirmed it.
Yep.
Ta-da.
Good job, team. There's an old car.
Oh, now there's 3 up there.
Up on the grassy knoll?
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, and there's still several. Well, that's clipped on that side over there, so I can't really see behind the ambulance, but they're clear of the fire and rescue. Hood popped. Trunk popped.
There's a guy back there with a hard hat on. I'm guessing that's got to be the fire department. Maybe that's why that fire and rescue thing was there.
That's a
There's that
freaking
silo.
I'm pretty
Saw
sure that
silo.
silo is the Spring Tubes property.
I think it is too. It's the only thing I can think of.
'Cause it's in
That is
direction.
super close on that angle, isn't it? Look how close it is.
I think
Yeah,
it's
Another
just
tarp. There's another tarp. Yeah.
Oh, eagle eye with that. Now, what's that tarp being used for? What are we hiding with that?
Looks like they're covering up that open top Jeep or something. or whatever the hell that kind of.
Go up.
And is
Go
that
up
a
little
cop
bit.
car right there
Go
too?
up. Go up a little bit with the
Jeep?
what's that? A light? Looks like a light attached to a generator.
Maybe that's what it was.
Ah,
Oh, generator.
A generator.
I bet you that's exactly.
Ruined.
Mm-hmm.
So why what are they? I didn't know they had lots and a generator out in the salvage yard.
No, maybe they're getting ready to move it over to Cuss.
Well, they might have had it out there for like when it started getting dark. When did it start getting dark? At like 5 o'clock at night, you know, and they're all out there looking through trunks and shit in the yard. They probably had a light out there.
I mean, if Manitowoc's gonna pay for it, let's get a new generator.
I mean, why not?
Sure.
See, there's the blue. That's the, what do you call it? That's the shop, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the shop.
It's got to be Springs Tube's house.
No, that's not right.
Let me see something on the Google Maps real quick.
Yeah, you may have to go back.
Like I kind of understand the layout a little bit better now, going through these photos.
Yeah, I'm the same.
If you use Google Earth, you may have to go do a historical lookup. You might be able to see that old silo.
Yeah. I think it's at the back of the
You can go to Street View and look at it. And the house and stuff is still there. I think there's a silo there too.
Yeah, see the L-shaped garage up the top there? It's in the car park there.
Look,
I've seen it before.
I don't know. That might be over here, actually.
Another photo, basically the same area. I took a lot of photos of this direction for some reason.
It's another Blazer. It's a green one.
Oh,
I thought they had
right
a
there.
better reputation. Right there, straight ahead, right where your mouse was. Green.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's another Blazer.
Rough shape.
Or another one. Yeah, my buddy had one. I don't know. I guess they had problems.
Let me go back one. Okay, this is down more in front of that. The silo would be up here. That's that blue outbuilding. Okay. And I'm not going to see anybody on that ridge. It's too far away. Hey, wait, what's this?
I don't see
having a town meeting here.
Is the front end loader moved again?
It looks like a different area. Or maybe it's not. It's a different angle.
It's not even in the photo. Or is it behind the... Yeah, it might be behind the fire.
That might be at top of it right there.
So they got the generator. I can see those lights are sitting right there. You see the lights
Yeah.
there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're getting ready to aim those lights. And look where they're aiming the lights, guys. Right where the RAV was found.
Oh.
I mean, it looks like it's aimed at where the RAV was found.
Why are they still looking over there? They didn't find anything over there. Why did it take them 3 days to search over in that area?
I don't know.
Well, if you're going to have a party, you kind of want to have electricity, I guess.
What were they doing over
There's no
there?
lights.
What better place to have a party but in the back of the yard where nobody can see you?
Or are those the computer sensor things that you're talking about, Chuck?
Those look too big to be those.
Those are just lights in a generator, like I thought.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty washed out right there. I don't know if I'd be getting through there with my car.
I definitely would want to have a 4-wheel drive and a winch. All right, that's the end of roll 8.
Oh my God.
Or is that roll 9? I'm sorry. That might have been roll 9.
I think that might have been 9.
That was roll 9.
Yep. All right, we'll do roll 10. That'll be halfway through. And do roll 10 and stop. What do you think?
I think that sounds like a really good plan.
But I just got here. Just kidding.
Roll 10. Again, this is says salvage yard. Let me open it up here and see what it said. Look what it looks like. It looks like kind of more of the same, different areas. We'll get a roll in here. Damn, I need to close that. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty.
So they weren't just popping trunks; they're popping the front ends too. Or are those just cars that have trunks in the front? I don't know. Maybe.
No. It's, hoods up for some reason. Somebody working on it or taking a part off or whatever. There's an old truck. Door took off. Lights out of it. And they park these things out, man. You just pick up all kinds of money. Here we go. Conveyor road area.
Now, is there a road that runs like parallel to that, or would they have to drive on that actual thing to get into the yard?
No, I think it runs like weaves in and out there. I think there's a road actually on the ground.
Okay.
Looks like a motorcycle right here in the very front just kind of throwed down there. I wonder why it's not motorcycle alley back there. Yeah, see, here you go, Jinx. This kind of travels down, I think, towards Conveyor Road.
Yeah, this would have to be one of the potential routes if you were going to come in the back to go through here. And there's a view back at Steven's trailer.
And the back of the garage, which was still blue. Did you know that in 2004 that trailer was blue?
I did not.
And he painted it red?
I knew he had painted it, but I wasn't sure exactly when it was.
Can you imagine if you were just standing there? You could watch everything that Steven was doing, just standing in this.
I never knew that. I never knew that.
Even looking up.
Go back to that picture again. Would you mind going back one that kind of shows that? Like, if you're standing in there and you can see his head moving around and coming to the window.
You'd be able to see him walking, starting a fire. You definitely see a fire back there.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't really be seeing you very easily, I guess, because there's so many obstructions when you're down in there, you know?
Right.
It's just, like, that's something that I was trying to point out earlier. Like, the vantage points change because of the elevation, and it makes it a difference, you know? It really does.
Sure it does.
So knowing he painted his house red sometime between September of 2004 to that time in 2005, are you surprised they found red paint on that old Bullet in the garage?
I mean, right?
Hey,
yeah.
you know what comes to mind as well is maybe that old gray sweatsuit outfit that. Oh wait, that's blood. Never mind. I was wrong. I'm sorry, Jinx. Jinx knows what I'm talking about.
The bloody sweatshirt.
I'm sorry. I'll move on.
Oh, don't get me started.
Picture that kind of goes back at Steven's trailer again. Kind of more of the same with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does show you. Like, you could really, you could creep around in these places easily and watch people.
And it wasn't all fenced in. People could just come over the berm, crawl up over that berm, come down it, and sit in the yard.
And crime scene tape on these cars right here. That's weird.
Yeah, I think they were opening the fronts and the backs. If it looks like that to me. So many hoods are open too.
Yeah, let the rain in there so it ruins all the parts.
But I'm just wondering why they put the crime scene tape on. I just don't remember anything about that. But anyway, I'll move on.
Whatever they found there, it was not important. Because if it was, it would have been at trial. You would have seen it. They would have made a big deal out of it.
Absolutely.
Imagine if it was trying to set up one of the Darcy boys, but it backfired and they got Stephen for it.
Well, there's that potential.
$38 million.
Yeah, of course, I suppose.
I mean, that's just like it's the biggest problem, It's like, I think, maybe if you have to look at the case in reverse, I'm just kind of going off the cuff here, but you know, if you have to explain the blood in the RAV, and that's kind of the side that we need to explain, then
Yeah.
the $38 million is the other side of it that you need to explain. If you don't think, you know, Steve, if you do think Stephen was not set up, that's what you need to explain away. How do you explain away a $38 million lawsuit? You know what I mean?
The reason why I said it just because, you know, that evidence was found in the Darcy burn barrel. So I was thinking maybe it's someone, you know, whose burn barrels are whose on the property.
Well, we did think that we were going to talk about burn barrels one of these lives, didn't we? We can always go back to that. And
I got some pictures of the burn barrel today, actually, in the request I got today.
Oh, excellent! Hey, Moscow.
I'm glad that I'm glad to talk about the burn barrels with anyone that can really talk to me intelligently about them, because I tell you, they're so confusing. They're so confusing the way the reports are written.
There's a report too with the DCI barrels about when they found the barrel in the front yard by Stevens. That's one of the reports I got recently. Today. I got it today. That's how recent. I haven't even looked at them all yet.
You know, thank you for your continued efforts, you know, to everybody that continues to get documentation that helps drive this case forward, and you know, it really puts in the effort to do it, you know, like a lot of people, you know, just doing it on their own time with their own money, investing their own time and money into this. So just a shout out to all the independent researchers out there again. Thank you.
Nothing like true supporters.
Yeah, that's right. I keep checking my email diligently every day, pretty much first or second thing, hoping I'm going to get something from the DOJ, and again, every day I'm disappointed. And O-Dog's had one. O-Dog's had one in with him for longer than I have, and he still hadn't got it.
I think his is 7 or 8 months now, because I remember when I was talking to him about doing them. Was not long after I got my Bobby.
Yeah.
I was like, they just did a full review. It should be easy. They did the review already.
His is a month or two older than mine, and mine was from like August 20th. I sent it in.
And I sent it in September, and I haven't gotten that one yet either.
I've had 2 correspondence with them. They acknowledged that they received it, and then I got an update at the end of November, 1st of December.
Well, you see what you got to do, Jack, is you got to be like, oh, it's been 3 days. Hey, Paul, have you seen anything yet? Where are we at with my, hey, Paul, hey, Paul.
I've sent 4 or 5 status updates. The last one, they just completely ignored me now.
This one that I got today, I sent in the beginning of January when he came back from his little vacation. I sent him, I said, hey, it's been a month. I mean, you said 10 days. And then he's like, some take longer than others. And I was like, yeah, just like the property receipts that are sitting on Helen's desk that you haven't bothered to send me now for 6 months. And
now, where were you?
A couple of weeks later.
This must be the Dassey house down here on the left. Gray.
Yeah, that's the garage, I think.
Like that.
Okay, now where are we at here? Whose house is this?
Is that a house or is that a truck?
Or
I thought that was a truck.
Is that a fire truck?
Vehicle. Oh.
Could that be a fire truck?
I don't know. What's
truck? The left side of that looks like a truck. And something in it's it's
maybe
like a fire
maybe
truck.
it is. Maybe it is.
Maybe from another photo we can kind of cross check that.
Next photo.
Next photo. Let's see what else we got.
Oh, no.
Wrong direction.
Go different direction. That's all right.
Hyundai, I think.
We'll do a circle again, I'm sure.
I like how I just keep guessing what cards these are. I keep going, that looks like a Hyundai, and then you zoom in and I go, that's not a Hyundai. every time. Except the Blazers. Like, I got those. I know that those are Blazers. Every other car I've been wrong.
That's a Chevy. That one had a Chevy
printing
on it.
You gotta be careful though. I've seen people put inaccurate like icons on their car where like someone like
whatever happened to hood ornaments? Do they still make those on cars anymore?
Everything
like for Maybach and Mercedes Benz and stuff like that. Yeah, the high end ones, because they can do they got They got a button you can push and it hides away.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
They've had that for a while. I think my friend in college had one of those, and his car did that. It hid like like when you turn the car off, it automatically
hid away.
Drop down in.
So that silo, I don't think is that property, because this view right here with that blue, this is the shop over here. I think this would be looking out into the front where like 147. So that house should be like in front here.
Yes, it should be.
Brake tube. So whichever, we got to figure out which direction we're looking when we see that silo thing.
Agree.
We'll figure it out.
Because that might be a farm off of Jambo Road, I wonder.
Jambo Road.
And there's another photo of the blue building. It's like he's just turning around and around and around.
Wait, we should see that big truck. Where'd that truck go? Shouldn't that be over there?
I don't see it
now. Must have been a truck. I wonder, are these dated in time? I mean, they're dated, but are they timed? Is there a time stamp on any of these?
It just says 8:30 a.m. in the morning, what the folder says. And the metadata that I've got, these must be the ones that April sent me, but I can't remember for sure. But I've had these for a few years now.
Well, it sure has been another Blazer there.
Did they have a silo on their property?
Look at all those tracks, though. They're worn. Law enforcement or someone's been going down them. Look at them.
I think.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can see fresh tracks right here. Is that the front loaders tracks? Look at how big they are.
One of them tracks kind of looked like the the ATV. Kind of like the all-terrain vehicle, not a car. That's what I kind of was going to point out before. I could be wrong, but.
Did the Averys have a silo? Because, see, I see this little silo off to the side on the right here. See it in the picture by that red car? Go keep over all the way all the way on the end. See it?
That is a silo. You're absolutely right.
And that would have been like the shop and stuff like that. So, like, it seems like it's in the property now, the property line now that I'm looking at it this way.
Now we have to get down to this silo business. We have to.
Did they look in the silo? Did they search the silo?
Search the silo? Come on, is this amateur hour?
Right. This is the end. This is the end of roll 10. There is one more photo I wanted to show. I said I would.
Okay.
I'll have to dig for it. Give me just 1 second here.
Well, it's always enjoyable for me to get through. Maybe we didn't hit all the questions we wanted, and but and I think Kel, we were talking about having you do fielding some questions about blood, but anyway, Jack, I always appreciate going through these photos. I really enjoy it. I think it helps create a context for this whole narrative to understand, when we talk about the pit, what does that mean? Now we kind of know what that means, and I think it's really helpful.
I think with the blood question, the main one that was being asked, I think Maz may have asked it, was can distilled water be added to the blood?
Yes, I think, and Kel was talking about that during one of our Discussing a Murder episodes. Distilled water was one of the things that they would be used to break it back down into wet blood, dried blood.
They use it when they collect the blood. They use a Q-tip and distilled water to collect blood.
Yeah.
When they do it.
Yeah. Because of whatever properties it has, it can break it back down. What I've got up here now, I got this through Owen Records. I really expected more to get in this freaking folder, but it's 4 photos. Notice the date on there. I didn't add that date. That's what this is exactly the way the photo came. It says 11/16/05. What the hell are they doing on the property on 11/16?
Maybe that was the day it was printed.
Well, I don't.
Or the day
maybe
they downloaded it and got the digital data from the camera.
I'm just thinking about. I used to have a Sony I don't remember the model number, but it was the first digital camera that I ever bought back when I bought it right before the twins were born. And it had an option where you could have the date on, and it would show up in the photos just like this.
And you also had to set that date too back then.
You did.
To make sure that date was set for the right date.
That's right. And the camera had a little battery in it, a little button battery. Yep. So that's the reason I say that, this, to me, this means that the photos were taken on 11/16. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. You could be right, Jinx. I don't know. I just question it.
Troopers videos or pictures?
I got this from Calumet.
Because could this be like Steven's now been arrested and he's been given a public defender, and didn't he hire a private detective? The public defender hired somebody, if I remember, it had a similar name to something I knew. And maybe this is her pictures. Maybe she went back to the property and took her own pictures.
No, this was property tag 1414930.
And this is something then they got from. This is something they got in like 2012. Then, if that number is so big, 14 something.
Yeah. So it came from the DCI to me. There's 4 photos of it.
Could the DCI have had pictures of what the public defender's thing did? I don't know. That's weird.
I don't know. I just know that this was the Pinto that I guess Earl talked about, right?
This is the one that Kathleen said might have been pushed with the RAV that got the red on the light fixture that she thought was on the light fixture.
Right. Anyway.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And actually, like I said, I thought there would be more photos attached to this property tag entry, but you never know what you're going to get. So anyway, I just wanted to show those real quick.
Yeah, we've seen this one before. I can't remember who it was, but someone pointed out to me that, they're trying to make this narrative that, well, this Pinto was moved back and forth, and this kind of, demonstrates how the RAV got put back in here. But I wish I had the map, and I don't. But there's like a road on this side of the conveyor, but there's also a road on the other side of the conveyor.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah, if you just drive on the other side of the conveyor, there is no blockade of a car. So It's almost like the cops are trying to make something that isn't there again. But look at this, guys. There's a car blocking this, and and that's kind of how I read it, but I could be wrong.
Could this be after Earl put this there? I mean, like, we don't see this RAV or this Pinto at all in any of the pictures that we just seen. That's like in the middle of the road like that. So like, is this after did he come back to the property and he's like, fuck this, we're gonna start blocking off these roads because obviously they think Teresa's car was planted at that point, right? That they're just going to try to do their best to block it off now, so nothing else comes in there. This could be doing that. I think.
I just remember Earl talking about. I think it's in his interview on the 10th. I think that's right. What I'm going to say. He talks about they were talking about the back of the property and the entries and ways to get into the yard, and there was some talk about a car, but I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this for sure, but I think he talked about them having a car to block off the back of the property or whatever to get this back entry because they've had problems with people coming and stealing and leaving crap and just whatever. So
partying, like Stephen Avery used to said that back in the 80s, he used to bring his friends back there and sit in the cars and party. That very same interview, a bunch of it's redacted, and I can't get it. They won't let me have it. They won't let me have an unredacted copy. Just like the Brian Dassey interview. A bunch of it's redacted. I can't get it either. DCI is being a pain with that too. All the records I got today all are redacted pretty heavily. I'm gonna have to cross-reference some of them before I release them to see who they're talking about from the queso.
Now these are the DCI reports you got today are ones that we don't have, right?
Yeah, like what I did is I took all the ones that weren't on the list that I made a list at one time about what we didn't have from DCI.
I still got it. I still got it.
I think yours and Rookie worked off that to ask Queso for those copies. And then he made a list with all he made an Airtable with all of the records in it. So anything that didn't have a record, I went and asked for. But I asked for it, like, I did all Hermels, and then I did all of, like, this person. So I did it per person, per report. So I got 11 of the Hermile ones so far. That was the first one I asked for. So I did one every day for, like, all of December leading up to the weekend before Christmas. So he has like 25 emails from me. And so I'm assuming maybe tomorrow I'll get another set. Like, I'm hoping that's going to be the case now, because I put them in one day in a row, like one after the other. So hopefully I get them one after the other. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I'll get some more so those are all the ones all the Hermel ones that we're missing, we now have.
Cool.
I'll give them to I sent them to yours, and he can upload them into his Airtable. So that's on Foul Play. People can go look for it then.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to, not to butt in, I'm sorry. I wanted to address some questions and have Cal come in and talk a little bit about the blood before we go.
All right, I'll mute.
Yep.
So no, you don't have to mute right like that. I did want to say thank you guys for cruising through the pictures with us, though. That was super fun. And anyway, let's give Cal a chance to. It looks like Maz was staying up to hear Cal address some of this, so I'll give you.
It's not like it's not like where Maz is. She only lives in Europe. I mean, it's not like 5 a.m. Come on.
It's not almost 6 a.m. or anything.
He's not addicted at all. So, like I said to her in the chat, like, what is it in particular you want to know about? I think it's just an open-ended question in terms of all the experiments I did. Yes, I got a little bit down on myself the other day because someone else brought it up to me, and they're like, oh, maybe we should do another experiment. I'm like, dude, I'm going to the doctors today because I'm highly anemic. I can't do any more experiments at this stage. But what frustrates me the most is, what got me a little bit down is, regardless how many experiments I've done and all the amount of research I did into it, there's not a conclusive answer. And that kills me to say that. I thought that if I understood it, if I could really break it down, I would be able to tell where the blood came from. Unfortunately, it left me with more questions. So it's a really hard way to kind of go into this question when we don't have like a baseline of where we start. But in terms of like coagulation and all that, fresh blood dies the moment it leaves the human body. The cycle, there's 5 stages. The link that Jeff has provided, I think it was in the last podcast, I kind of break it all down with Dr. Siltman. We go through all the stages and we kind of give you timelines and stuff. But with all those timelines in itself, it's really hard because there's variables to timelines. For example, heat, cooling, surfaces, like what kind of material your blood is on. And in particular, do you have any health conditions? Are you on medications? All these things factor in for the experiment, and it factors in with the blood. So, so with the coagulation side of it, it's hard because like I see a few people say in there, oh, well, maybe they just planted the flakes. And I believe that for a long time too, until I understood the cycles. You have to know the cycle of blood. And we saw it in like Making a Murderer Part 2, where we see Kathleen going through with her narrative, and she's showing you her experiments. It took 90 minutes for her blood to kind of it had half and half. It still had liquid form, and then there was still a little bit of you know, you had your flake side, your crustation side, but that was a 90-minute cycle. And the biggest thing that I learnt with the experiment is, and it's really, really important everyone kind of gets this, is it's all about the quantity. The less you have, the quicker the cycle happens. It's like anything. When you spill water, it takes long to dry up if there's more of it. You know, it's just human logic. The other thing that I really wanted to remind people is when I did the experiments, I had to be mindful on something else as well. And that is the fact that, you know, liquid is really deceiving because you could have a little bit, but because when you flatten it out or when you spill it, it runs. So it covers more of a surface. So it looks more than what it usually is. So that was another thing that I struggled with as well, because, you know, when I watch Kathleen's experiment, I get a little bit like, yeah, she's almost overcompensating the blood as well. Because, you know, she's doing so much passive drips that it's so much liquid, but you don't actually literally need that much. So that's why it's hard to kind of look at it and go, well, it took 90 minutes for her cycle, but what did she factor in all those variables that I said? Did she have a controlled environment? I even went back in my experiments and I went back to look at the weather of that week, and I kicked my own children out of their own bathroom for a week because the house I was living in at that time had its own ducted air conditioning throughout the whole house, and it had its zones. So in that bathroom in particular, if you wanted to make it really cool, I could like just put all the cold air to just that bathroom. And it was more designed for like winter. So when you got out the shower, if you were cold, you could have the heat up and you wouldn't even need a towel. So I used that, and I used it as low as I could. But of course, Australia heat is a lot different than Wisconsin heat. So these are all the variables I had to make sure I factored in. Yeah, so my whole point of that is the smaller the drip, the quicker it'll turn. Now, there's another thing that I keep seeing people say, distilled water. And I know I keep bringing it up. Distilled water is like your 101 to lab technicians Bible. Everyone knows that in terms of like laboratory and law enforcement that deal with collecting evidence and all that, because half of them carry those kind of tools on them, swabs, distilled water, because when they go to crime scenes, they've got to be able to extract DNA and stuff like that. An average person who hasn't studied it automatically would think water, but we've all learned water has like all different kind of chemicals, and it has all different stuff in it, from the tap especially, and it absolutely just washes out the blood. It washes away the iron, it washes out the iron out of the blood. It just breaks it down so quickly that you cannot rehydrate it. The thing with distilled water, and I think it's coming up in the next episode we talk about, that, you know, we'll be coming up with the discussing a murder, is you have to have the balance. If you don't have the balance, the distilled water is just as useless as tap water, because it's about like the ratio of how much blood you have can't be washed out by the distilled water. Otherwise, you'll know that it's been watered down too much. So you've got to average it out and make sure that it like your objective is just to hydrate it there and break down just those that coagulation clot stage, versus to like make it you don't want to liquefy it too much, basically. In terms of that, you know, the only thing that I didn't hit very well on in terms of my experiments was the sink itself. I believe when I look at like all the pictures that we've got with Stevens, his was more of like what would you guys say it was, like what kind of fabric, like material do you think that was, guys? It was like a hard plastic, but a little bit of what do you think his was?
On what?
Stephen's sink, his bathroom sink.
Oh, it's like a porcelain ceramic.
Yeah, porcelain, that's the word. Yeah, so porcelain. So we have porcelain over here as well. Mine was a porcelain, but it was just a modern one. So it had it was more glossy and all that. And I had to factor all that in too, because, it's like I said to you, it's the material, it's the surfaces that this blood has to cycle on. So that was the only
Maybe
thing
you
that
can
I
ask KZ to send you his sink since she picked it up from the trailer.
Oh, well, there you go. The only thing that I like, and I know I have mentioned this many times, there was other tests that I have spoken to labs, I have spoken to people, even Dr. Silkman, I think we've discussed it, and there is other ways to do experiments and testing, and it's kind of backwards. And that is when you isolate the blood and all that from the sink. And I know we've mentioned it. When you look at it, it's got a lot of residue from soap and maybe even toothpaste. They are all heavily made with EDTA. So the components in those things are all EDTA based. So I have asked people in terms of testing in labs, could you isolate the blood and then look for foreign kind of like substances that shouldn't be there, chemicals that you wouldn't see? And they said, yeah, well, you can kind of do it, but it's messy, it's hard, and it's the resources, and there's certain things. But they did say that this is what the O.J. Simpson case was about. O.J. Simpson's case was they were trying to bring in EDTA as well. They were trying to say there was a planting situation, but they actually had a expert come in to explain why there should be EDTA, or why you would expect to see EDTA, because a lot of household chemicals contain it as one of the main ingredients. So they're saying when they found the blood on the floor, that floor might have been mopped the day before with floor cleaner, and that's why you're getting the EDTA hit. So that's kind of like a little bit with the blood. When Kathleen's saying it's fresh. Okay, I accept it. It's fresh, most likely now not from the EDTA tube, but it still doesn't now rule out. It doesn't rule in automatically for me the sink either, because that had just as much as a high chances of having contamination of EDTA in it from having all that excess residue from all those other products of the toothpaste and the soap residue that we see, that it would have had to go on. I did do experiments like that. I got my sink and I put soap. I watered down soap for a few days till it went all that, white washy. And then I put toothpaste all over and I smeared it and I let it sit for a few days. Then I put my blood on it. Automatically, I couldn't lift the blood without breaking away a little bit of that toothpaste or the bit of the cracking of the soap. Again, that's my experiment. It doesn't necessarily mean that would have happened for Stevens, because I don't know how heavy and thick the residue was and how old it was. See, these are all the little variables that I don't have access to that you have to factor in. That's why no matter how many times I do the experiment, it'll never be perfect. I can never mimic exactly what happened. It's just a baseline, bit of an understanding. But the sad truth is, and I'm the first one to admit it, it doesn't give you a conclusion. It just, at best, is just really interesting just to understand. Again, for me, it was the cycles, to watch it with my own eyes, how quickly when it coagulates on different surfaces, the process. To watch it with your own eyes, you can watch it in that video and you can actually see it just start to dry, pop and flake. It was a pretty surreal experience to kind of be able to recreate that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if there's anything else that kind of so I have also asked Barb. I went straight to Barb, and I said to her, no bullshit aside, do I have your permission to, speak about this publicly? And she gave me permission in terms of the question I asked her and her answer. I asked her, did she ever have any eye drops tools in the house? Did she have pregnancy kit, and she denied any kind of pregnancy thing. She said there is no form of eyedroppers. They didn't have eyedroppers. None of them were treating their eyes. And then I even asked about a puppy syringe because Bobby had a 6-week-old puppy. I'm like, was he feeding the puppy through a dripper? Nope, puppy was on puppy milk and puppy Wheat Bix or whatever it was on. That is really, really important because I think there's a really big misunderstanding of what tools is needed to be able to like make this blood kind of work, this transferring. A lot of people, and I know I see it a lot, they get stuck on the Q-tip. And I can understand it. It does look like a Q-tip swipe. I 100% believe that. But what we're seeing is not the in situ pictures. It appears that it's the pictures after it had already been swabbed. So that could be why the blood on the ignition looks altered and it looks like it's been like moved.
The only problem I have with that is a trained evidence technician would probably not swipe blood. They would probably roll the Q-tip, kind of like you see in the bathroom drop on the floor. You see that they took blood from the middle of it. You see that it looks like there's a ring, right? Because they probably put the Q-tip in there wet, swirled it, not swiped it, but like dipped it, like gave it a little twist. And then you see that there's a ring of blood. So for the fact that they swipe it, if that's the case, that those are after they actually swiped it, then I would like to know who the hell was doing the swiping because that doesn't seem like the normal way to take blood from a drop on a dashboard or on any
literally
surface.
It could be, but I've also been live. I know that a lot of you were there, but I went live in the bathroom. I got a Q-tip. I soaked it in blood in my vial. And you see me trying to transfer it onto the surface. It's really hard because a Q-tip is like a fabric and it absorbs. It's like a carpet. Once liquid gets onto that Q-tip, it absorbs in. It's really hard to then absorb it back out. I hear people say, well, what about if you drip water on it? Then you can squeeze it. I tried it all. Go back and watch the video. You see it with your own eyes. You have to literally soak it. And then automatically just slap it straight on and do what you kind of said, like really like press hard to make that imprints. But the issue with that
that's
is
that's with like re-wet blood too, right? Like you're talking about you doing. What about fresh blood?
This was fresh blood. This was
or not fresh blood,
from,
but like wet blood that was in a vial, let's say.
That's what I did. I went straight into the vial, liquid, so and that's what I'm saying.
You went right into the vial with the Q-tip,
right into the vial with a Q-tip, and tried to, and it just would not take. It actually absorbed all my blood. That's why I've got no blood left because of that experiment. That was one of the very last experiments I did on a live with Jeff Jones's channel, because I put the whole Q-tip in the vial. I swirled it. It absorbed it all in, and then I was only able to press it. It then made a little bit of an impression. But then once I had done that and took it back out, not only did I have no blood left, there was not enough, like it had been gone. And it took quite a bit. So that's my point is you need an excessive amount of blood to be able to pull that off, to do it with a Q-tip.
Didn't the lab forensic photographer take swabs?
Yeah,
I think we should try this experiment with some Halloween blood.
I have done it with Halloween blood.
And can you swab it? Like, can you take it out of
Halloween blood
swab
is Halloween blood. You can tell automatically that it's fake. It doesn't even dry properly. It doesn't coagulate. It absolutely just wipes off. It doesn't crust. It doesn't do anything. I've done tomato sauce. I've done fake blood. I've done EDTA blood. I've done fresh blood. I even did pig blood. That was a very interesting one because that was very, very, very much like human blood. It had all the same kind of coagulation kind of feel to it. But again, the issue we have now is, and I have to trust this as much as I can, Kathleen was given the swabs, the fabric, and the blood flakes. She sent them to her own independent team, who not only did the methylation testing that came back and said, it's fresh blood and it's in between that time, they also genomically tested it and it came back as Stephen Avery. So that is an independent third-party person that has done the testing on the swabs from the RAV, the fabric from the RAV, and the blood flakes from the RAV, and all confirmed said it is absolutely Stephen Avery's blood. We have independently done it, and it's his profile. We have it. So we know it's not pig.
It definitely is blood. It's definitely blood, and it's Stevens. I got you. Well, that's good to know that she had it independent. I don't think I ever heard that before. Yeah, so that's good.
It's in, so that
I'll tell Diggum.
It's not my research to.
Then again, they're only testing the Q-tips, which we have to trust were actually from the RAV, right? Like, we gotta believe in that too, right? Sure. Because with this case, you just don't know. Yep. With
the flakes, you gotta be mindful with the flakes. But for me, it's the RAV seat. And I know I've seen people say, but they could have cut more. This was all documented. If Kathleen ever got the RAV again, and then she goes and sees that only 2 cuttings were taken, but the whole fucking seat cover's been chopped up, then you're going to have a problem. It's a lot harder to be nefarious when not all, again, when we're talking about this, framing job, we're all realistic here. We're not talking about 20 people. We have to be realistic and say a frame job usually between what do they use? What's the old saying? Investigator T used to say to me, 3 people is usually in the know as long as 2 of them are dead. Because that's kind of the circle about, your nose.
Well, let's see who is dead from these cases so far.
It was, the experiments were awesome to do. I've still got more that I've not ever released it's not that I've sat on it for any reason, just the opportunity hasn't really come up for me to show them. The thing that I was more excited about the most was showing the contrast between the comparison of the swabbings that I did. I used the same swabs as the lab that Sherry Colhane would have used, and I used them on EDTA blood, fresh blood, and I left them, I photographed them exactly the same, and the outcome is very obvious to the eye. But then the thing that's sad about that is the variables that come to that is lighting. It comes with the camera itself, the pixels, like all these issues that I have to make sure I balance out, and I can't get it accurate. So what might look more redder to me might not look red to them, because we're using different kind of like functions on our camera, for example, or the lighting's a bit off. So it's all these little issues. I think that the blood in the RAV is still the case. I used, as a lot of people know, I've done a lot of the blood part. Now I've kind of moved on to the now, what can free the boys now, and where we're at with what Kathleen's doing in terms of the law. I've been trying to study as much as I can on it, especially Wisconsin law, because everything is so different. It's a lot harder to do it over here because there's a lot of sites that I'm logged out of. I don't have permission to enter because of my zone. So I have to ask people to do it for me and then screenshot it or download it and then send it to me by email. I saw that there's a lot of people that are in anticipation today, tomorrow, depends on what side of the world you live on, in like waiting for Kathleen's amendment to resurface, and that there's 4 exhibits as exhibit A's, 4-part. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's new evidence per se. I don't think it's going to be something that we've not heard before. I'm still at this stage thinking that it's just something on the lines of housekeeping. I went back to her original motion just to see what was Exhibit A in her original, and Exhibit A in her original is all Tom Skowinski's affidavit. And you got to remember, with amendments, it is you're either removing, adding, or modifying. So it could be as simple as modifying a sentence or words, or something as simple as that, or even a new citation, because I then went back and read the state reply, and she got called out on quite a few housekeeping errors. And I'll just, as quickly as I can, because I know it's getting late, I'll address those. They were, she cites a case Dressler, that's based on the motive for the Dassey computer, especially for Bobby Dassey. However, the Dressler case is at a state level, a federal state level, habeas what are they called? J-Jax? I've gone blank. Habeas, what's the level of it?
Habeas corpus.
That's it. So so she cited something that in the statute of the lower courts isn't allowed to be kind of referred to, because it's a different jurisdiction kind of thing. So she addresses that one that they pulled her out for, and then they addressed it on it. So they brought it up in terms of it being an error, and then they addressed it on its merits. And the merit of it was she's citing something that doesn't have the same mirror effect. She also made a very interesting, I'm going to just say alleged boo-boo, because I can't verify what the state was saying, but they actually cite exhibits as well, as in one of the footnotes, and it says that Kathleen basically has cited all these exhibits, but she got all the numbering wrong. The numbers are all wrong, and that they had to make an educated guess in what she was even trying to refer to. So it could be something like that, just tidying up to the right index, because she cited the wrong index for the exhibits. Then obviously there's the quite the obvious, and that is she produced that piece of paper with the transcription of the Tom Skowinski alleged call, where you hear him say, "Hello, I've got some information about the missing girl from Hilbert. I don't know if it's good or bad information," but it's not authorized. It's not authenticated either. It doesn't have a timestamp. Hasn't gone through any kind of, justice of the courts, people kind of, witnessing that this is what it's literally someone has transcribed it, and in their case they're trying to say their interpretation, because there's nothing that signifies what it's connected to. And then they actually say, and where did it come from? Who did it come from? Did you address the officer that took the call? And that's obviously when they call out sergeants like C. Blub, whatever his name is, Scott, and says you didn't even attempt to do that. So all these little housekeeping things is the things that they called her out on, and they basically said to her, clean it up, because we don't even understand where you're trying to go with some of this stuff. So yeah, that's I did hear as I was driving, J-Jack said something about he's a little bit confused about the second, there's something to do with the second motion or something, ask for motion reply or something. I don't know if it's the wording, but from what it appears to me, I don't even see where she's addressed back for the state reply. At this stage, from face value, from how I'm reading it, it's only the amendment side of it. So it could be second part in terms of she's asking for maybe more time for the reply, but I don't see the reply in it as such. Yeah, so that's basically where we're at.
It is where we are at, and the other place where we are at is
The end.
3 hours 44 minutes. So I think because we're at the 3 hour and 44 minute mark, it's a good time for us to maybe consider wrapping up here. So
what's 15 more minutes?
15 more minutes is exactly what it is. 15 more minutes. That's exactly what it is. Anyway, unless anyone else has anything that they'd like to add before we go.
No, for just only for next time. You know, if we want to continue on with the photo journey, we'll do the other 10 rolls. And
my vote is yes. What do you guys think out there? Yes or no on more pictures? I know that you have one follower out there, one subscriber, one Chatison out there that would love it. I would love it. I really enjoy the photos, so I think we should do that next time. Yeah, we should do that next time, Jack, for sure.
Yeah, I'll send them. I'll send them to you, Kath. I'll send them to.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send them to Brian as well, so you'll have a copy. And yeah, and I sent you a link as well, Jeff. So
excellent. Okay, well, I just want to say thanks to everybody that's been in the chat, everybody that's stuck with us through the premiere and all the way to the end, or maybe you're just getting caught up now a few days later. Really appreciate you guys on the journey.
Absolute champions.
Aren't they? They are champions. I would. That's the only way to put it. You know. Yep. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being the best supporters around, and really appreciate the comments and the community that we're building and talking about this case. It's just been. It seems like it gets better every week. So, for Kath and Jack and Jinx and Kelly and Brian, this is Jeff Jones saying this has been After Discussing a Murderer. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Yeah.